Test one, two, test one, two. I probably should have checked this audio before. Okay, well, it's been a while. Let's get into it. Um, so the first thing I wanted to do was listen to a bit of this Zohran Mamdani stuff because I don't know about you guys. Like, I knew this country was Islamophobic, but just being outwardly racist, like not even hiding your racism even a little bit, being outwardly racist against someone just because they're Muslim is it's still kind of shocking to me. Maybe I'm naive, maybe I've been sheltered or something, but just like cuz he's a Muslim that doesn't advocate for Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people, people are accusing him of being a terrorist. It's crazy, and it's from both sides of the aisle. Like it's one thing for Republicans to be outwardly racist; they've been doing that for years. But Democrats, just straight up being like, "Oh yeah, he's a jihadi," is crazy. So this is something that happened. How long ago was this? This was June 26th, so about a week ago, this interview took place, and it's Senator Kirsten Gillibrand talking about Mamdani's victory. So let's just play this and hear what, once again, a Democrat has to say. And I'm sure you've heard this by now, but we're going to, I just wanted to set the stage because we're also going to be taking a look at Republicans' reactions on Mamdani, just the outward abusive racism that Republicans have been aiming at Mamdani, and then also taking a look at the ways that they're trying to fight back against Zohran's victory. Because what does America hate more than a Muslim? A socialist Muslim. That's the worst nightmare of these capitalist Zionist dogs that really run this country. So I think this is the section where I think this is the section of the famous clip.
No vote on this.
Here's a Mamdani related call. They're continuing to come in. This one, anti-Mamdani. Gabe in Jersey City, you're on WNYC with Senator Gillibrand. Hello, Gabe.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you for taking my call and question. I wanted to ask two very pertinent questions about the threats facing the Jewish community, unfortunately, from Zohran Mamdani. There was a bill that I was reading about that, unfortunately.
So I also wanted to kind of respond to a lot of the hysteria about Zohran in this call. So he says, the threats to the Jewish community from Mamdani, the threats the Jewish community is facing from Mamdani. So Zohran Mamdani is threatening the Jewish
community. He wants to target synagogues and Jewish institutions which donate to nonprofits, which are medical institutions like United Hatzalah and Magan David Adam, which is like the Jewish Red Cross. So how do we make sure that Jewish institutions are protected from his plans to punish and fine our institutions which fundraise these medical nonprofits?
So saying that Zohran is targeting Jewish charities. Zohran targeting Jewish charities. And let's see what we have here. Zohran Mamdani bill targets New York synagogues funding groups like Zaka and Hatzalah, which is what the person described. Mamdani introduced a bill to fine New York nonprofits for funding groups like Zaka and Hatzalah linked to Israeli settlements. So you don't need to read any further than this. He is punishing people from giving material support to terrorist groups. This is what Joe Biden did, where he passed sanctions on Israeli settlers in the West Bank. Zohran Mamdani wants to punish people who are giving money to terrorist groups. He's literally trying to stop terrorism through this bill. And this freak that's calling on this Brian Lehrer show with Kirsten Gillibrand is like, why is he being so anti-Semitic? Just let us do terrorism, but like let Jewish people do terrorism. If you don't let Jewish people do terrorism, that is anti-Semitic now. it's just so shocking. Like, they're trying to say that Zohran Mamdani, because in a rap song he made, he expressed support for the Holy Land Five, which is a group of charity workers that was accused of giving money to Hamas, which is the government of Gaza that isn't like Hamas did do October 7th, and that's horrible. But governing Gaza is their right. They were the elected government of Gaza. So that is a respectable charity cause versus giving money to this illegal settlers that are doing terrorism on the West Bank of Palestine. That's crazy. So they're trying to deport Mamdani because he rapped about supporting charity workers. And the Republicans are trying to deport him for doing that. But if he says don't give money to terrorists, then that's anti-Semitic of him to do. So yeah, the guy's like, I want to be able to give money directly to terrorists, and if he's stopping me from doing that, that's anti-Semitic. That's what this guy's crying about.
Which do work both here in the United States and in Israel and other countries in the world. And also, how can we hold Mr. Mamdani accountable for his glorifying association of Hamas and other terror bombings of the intifada in 1990s, where over 1,000 Jewish Israelis were killed, to his revisionist Holocaust knowledge, to the Warsaw Ghetto uprising?
Okay, so he's saying he's glorifying the killing of Jewish people. He's never done that. The only thing Zohran Mamdani did was, and maybe we can actually find this, I think it was an episode of The Bulwark. Was it The Bulwark? Let's look this up. Zohran Mamdani intifada quote. Find this.
I want to ask you about an issue that has divided some New Yorkers in recent weeks. You were recently asked about the term global.
Where was he asked? This is so stupid. What? It was on a podcast. I thought it was The Bulwark. I thought it was the guy from The Bulwark. So he was... Yeah, again, Klein. Where did he originally talk about the phrase? God. These articles absolutely suck. Like, no one does good reporting. They're not actually describing where this story started. What was the podcast that he was on? I thought it was with the guys from The Bulwark. Sponsored Team Jeffries talks about this. The forward. Mayoral debate in June. What we're looking for. Not a question. Seriously, no one's clipped this. No one has clipped Zohran saying that in the original interview. Mamdani. Zohran advisor? Zohran's advisor. Alright, whatever. Anyway, so he declined to condemn the phrase Globalize intifada, and it's because intifada just means uprising, resistance, and even the Holocaust Museum, the Arabic translation, when used to describe the Warsaw Ghetto uprising of when Jews and other people that were put into the Warsaw Ghetto resisted the Nazis, the Arabic translation used the word intifada to describe that. And so he said intifada means different things to different people. I'm not going to condemn a phrase that is literally used to resist the horrors of the Holocaust.
Rising, where Jews were mass exterminated and faced threats. He compared when Jews were killed to when Jews fought back against Nazis. It's quite despicable. I'm sorry.
Gabe, thank you for your call. There's a lot in there, Senator, some of which may be inaccurate. So I don't know. I can't fact check everything in real time, but do you know any of that to be inaccurate or accurate, including the original premise that he would somehow target synagogues if they were contributing to groups like Hatzalah, ambulance services, in a way that he could hurt the synagogues? I just don't want to give out information that's false.
Once again, it's like you're not hurting the synagogues if they don't support terrorist groups. Joe Biden literally passed a law sanctioning the settlers in the West Bank. Why should people that give money to those settlers not be punished?
But I also don't want to shrink from information that's true.
Well, the caller is exactly the New York constituents that I've spoken to that are alarmed. They are alarmed by past public statements. They are alarmed by past positions, particularly references to global jihad. This is a very serious issue.
Particularly references to global jihad. So, what references did he make to global jihad? He didn't make any references to that. She just made that up and made it a Muslim-like position that she ascribed to Zohran. This is just racism.
Because people that glorify the slaughter of Jews create fear in our communities.
Now she's saying that he glorifies the slaughter of Jews. Just absolutely insane delusions.
The global intifada is a statement that means destroy Israel and kill all the Jews.
Destroy Israel and kill all the Jews. Okay, yeah, that's what it means. Like, once again, Zohran actually explained what it means. She's just saying that, oh, well, you're racist because you actually analyzed what this phrase means and how it can be used in different ways. So this is an argument from ignorance to describe Zohran as just like a racist piece of shit.
So these are the kinds of things that if Mr. Mamdani is elected our mayor, we'll need to assure all New Yorkers that he will protect all Jews and protect houses of worship and protect funding for not-for-profits that meet the needs of these communities. Those are the things he'll have to do as our mayor.
He would certainly say that he has committed.
Like, I love the implication here is that Zohran is actually in favor of pogroms against Jewish people, almost similar to what we're seeing Donald Trump do against immigrants and Hispanic people especially, almost similar to that, where it's like, okay, who's telling Donald Trump, oh, can you promise that you're going to protect our Hispanic communities? Where now he's literally being like, oh yeah, we're going to open up like a slave labor camp in the Everglades in Florida, and we're going to release people for like a week to go work at a farm and then come back to their slave camp. That's what we're getting now from Donald Trump. They're acting like Zoran's going to like shut down synagogues and enact Sharia law, and he's going to discriminate against people based off of their religion. When he hasn't said any of this, it's all just racist delusions of like, oh, a Muslim? A Muslim? No way, we can't have that. And I mean, holy shit, dude. Has there ever been a time when Hassan has been more vindicated for what he said that originally triggered Ethan Klein, where Hassan said Islamophobia is supported by the institutions of this country and anti-Semitism is not supported by the institutions of this country? Like, it's socially acceptable to be Islamophobic, but it's not acceptable to be anti-Semitic. Like, we're seeing just straight up unadulterated Islamophobia of this person's brown, this person says some Arabic words aren't bad, they're actually they're the devil. They're going to do pogroms against Jewish people in New York for nothing, for absolutely nothing. Okay, let's continue.
To protecting all Jews in New York as mayor of New York. Do you dispute? Do you doubt that?
Well, one of the issues I did talk to him yesterday was exactly this issue, and he has agreed to work with me on this and to protect all residents. So this is something I care deeply about, and so I will be an advocate on these issues. These are things that...
You care deeply about not killing your constituents? What the fuck are you talking about?
I think are important to New Yorkers, and I will work with him when he gets elected, if he gets elected, to make sure everyone is protected. I also, on the federal level, work to get resources for all our religious sites in the state and in the city. I lead the letter for funding for I lead the letter for the funding to protect synagogues and churches and temples and places of worship.
Bro, honestly, that's fucking bullshit. The religious exemption to taxes is so ridiculous. What do these synagogues... I mean, yes, protect them against hate crimes. Of course, you should. Feel like the police have that covered, but in what way are you going to protect them? Protect them against this bill that calls for like punishments? I don't even know what the punishments would be. Fines to punish these communities for funding terrorism in the West Bank. Is that what we're talking about?
Across our city and state, and these are things that he has assured me in my one conversation, that he will protect everyone. But I understand why people are concerned because of past statements, and so this is just an issue that I will work with him on for sure.
Hanny and Prospect Heights are on WNYC.
I mean, it's literally just like, oh, he like assuming that he's just so violently hateful against Jewish people, where, oh, well, he said that he's not going to kill all Jewish people, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to be holding his hand to make sure that he actually doesn't kill all Jewish people because, you know, he's Muslim. We can't trust him. Like, that's the implication from what she's talking about. Why are you so concerned when you literally have talked to the person and he's like, yes, I'm not going to kill all of the Jewish people in New York, and then you come onto the show and you're like, well, I mean, we can't trust him, right? We can't trust him. So saw something on here. Oh my god, my Reddit feed is so cursed, guys. It's actually so cursed. What did I see though? Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to look at. Majority Report. So CNN's Harry Enton describes a 56-point swing among all Democrats' views of Israel and Palestine since 2017. CNN aired a segment this morning highlighting the massive shift in Democratic views on Palestine, one that NYC mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani has successfully tapped into. In 2017, Democrats sympathized more with Israelis by 13 points. Now they side with Palestinians by plus 43. Among Democrats under 50, the swing is even more dramatic, from plus 14 for Israel to plus 57 for Palestine. Yet in the same segment, CNN's Kate Boldane claimed Mamdani faces mounting criticism for not being outspoken. Man, I kind of want to just watch this segment. This is Harry Enton. Let's look him up on X. X.com. I'm always afraid I have like a porn tab open when I just see X.com. No, that is not an original joke. Harry, is it Enton? Enton. What the hell are you guys talking about in chat? I'd assume most chain grocery stores in NYC rent their location. You guys are talking about his grocery store policies? I mean, from what I've seen, state-run grocery stores work pretty well, especially if it's like in an area that's underserved and does not have like a good amount of economic stability that grocery chains can make profits off of.
Andrew Cuomo, during the primary, attacked Mamdani as being insufficiently pro-Israel. I'm not quite sure the former governor understood how much the politics have changed around this issue among Democrats. What are we talking about here? All right, who Democrats sympathize more with, Israelis or Palestinians? In 2017, the Democratic Party was a pro-Israeli party. Look at this. They sympathized with the Israelis by 13 points, more with the Israelis than the Palestinians. But look at the sea change.
I'd love to see a similar data for the Republicans, right? Because let's see which party is more against genocide. I think
it's more with the Palestinians by 43 points. Oh my God, that is a change in the margin of 56 points over the course of just 8 years. So all of a sudden, it's the pro-Palestinian position that actually reigns supreme in Democratic politics, not the Israeli position. And that is part of the reason why Mamdani was able to do so well in this primary, because those attacks over Israel, simply put, did not ring true for Democrats. They're now on the side of the Palestinians, not the Israelis.
I mean, this is a much bigger issue, specifically with Mamdani, though. I mean, an outspoken critic of Israel. He's facing continued criticism, though, for not being outspoken enough against anti-Semitism, that is for sure. But on this, talk about Democrats and how broadly how this really is shifting.
Yeah, so, you see this among Democrats overall, right? But we know that Mamdani's base was younger voters within the Democratic Party. And so I want to break it down
with younger Democrats.
Correct. So take a look here. Who age 18 to 49 Democrats sympathize more with, the Israelis or the Palestinians? Again, in 2017, younger Democrats sympathize more with the Israelis by 14 points. Look at this shift now. Palestinians, they sympathize more with the Palestinians by 57 points. That is an over 70-point shift in the margin in just a matter of 8 years. So the bottom line is,
Jesus Christ.
Within the Democratic Party and the base of the Democratic Party of younger voters, younger Democrats have changed tremendously on this issue in 8 years' time. I rarely ever see shifts like this, Kate, in which you see one side of the equation leading by 14 points 8 years ago, and then all of a sudden the other side of the equation leading by 57 points. The bottom line is the politics around the Israelis and the Palestinians have shifted tremendously among Democrats, and they've shifted specifically tremendously among Democrats who are under the age of 50, younger Democrats who are Mamdani's base, and also the base of Democratic socialists like himself, like Bernie Sanders, like AOC. They have just shifted more so than I think that anyone could possibly have imagined, say, 8 years ago.
Okay, so yeah, I think that that's an interesting and important story to talk about when we're also talking about how these attacks aren't really working anymore. And even though Democrats are being virulently racist, they're getting called out for it. So you have this article, Gillibrand apologizes to Mamdani over jihad comments. The New York senator was criticized for not defending the NYC mayoral candidate in a combative radio interview. So she apologized to Zohran Mamdani on Monday after she falsely claimed in a radio interview that the presumptive Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City had made references to global jihad. References to global jihad, and that she needs to hold his hand to make sure Jewish communities are safe in New York. The junior senator and the mayoral candidate spoke by phone Monday night when Gillibrand was in Washington voting on the mega bail pushed by President Donald Trump, according to a readout of the call of Gillibrand's team provided to Politico. Gillibrand apologized for mischaracterizing Mamdani's record and for her tone on the call. Mamdani would be the city's first Muslim mayor. Gillibrand was on WNYC's The Brian Lehrer Show Thursday when a caller to the radio program asked about holding Mamdani accountable for glorifying Hamas. Mamdani has declined to condemn people using the phrase globalize the intifada. Yeah, glorifying Hamas. Also, she's talking about how he was glorifying the slaughter of Jews. That's what the caller was talking about as well. He once wrapped his support. Dude, this is so ridiculous. This is what we're going with. He wrapped support for charity workers? And sure, they funded Hamas. That was before October 7th. Gillibrand said that Jewish New Yorkers were alarmed by Mamdani's past statements. And when Lehrer noted there's no evidence of Mamdani himself supporting Hamas or violent jihad, she reacted defensively and said she would like to sit down with Mamdani and talk through the issues with him. Gillibrand also said he should denounce the phrase globalize the intifada. The senator's comments and tone were met with outrage from Mamdani supporters, some of whom protested outside her office. God damn, dude. Yeah, they did. We watched a video of that. And called for her resignation. They even earned her an apparent rebuke from Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul. No one should be subjected to any comments that slur their ethnicity, their religious beliefs, and we condemn that anywhere it rears its head. We condemn that anywhere it rears its head in the state of New York. The statement from Hochul came after she was asked by a reporter to comment on the racism he's facing, including from New York's own Kirsten Gillibrand. God damn, I kind of want to see that. That seems like a good question from a reporter there. Gillibrand said she misspoke. Well, she did a whole lot of misspeaking. So anyway, what's the point here? Well, the point here is that I said this before, I think like last week, but Mamdani he's kind of like a lightning rod for this criticism. And I think that he's a good indicator for the, not just for like the direction of the party, but for the type of rhetoric that's going to be used against anti-Zionist candidates and like socialist candidates and more progressive candidates, brown candidates, and if that's going to be effective rhetoric or not. And we already saw that in the context of a Democratic primary, that rhetoric is not effective at all. Being progressive, running against a corrupt creature of the institution in Cuomo, he just blew him out of the water. I think the official race numbers were he won by plus 12 points, and really people are pulling out all the stops against him, right? They're trying to deport him. They're saying that he's doing material support for terrorism by rapping about supporting charity workers in like 2021 when he made that rap song. They're saying that he's anti-Semitic, that he wants to kill Jews worldwide because he won't condemn the phrase globalize the intifada. And I think that as this rhetoric all comes up short against Zohran Mamdani, it's going to lose a lot of its effectiveness when used against other people that are going to be outspoken supporters of Palestine and not supporters of Israel, outspokenly not a supporter of Israel. So there's a few other things that I wanted to look at. So we're talking a bit about Zohran. Let's talk about this. So Donald Trump wants to deport Zohran Mamdani.
Watching that very carefully, and a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. We're going to look at everything, and ideally. He's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist. I've always said, we will not have socialism in this country. In the speeches, I said, well, what? They skipped socialism. And you get a lot of them like that. And you see AOC, she's out there with her, bad IQ. She's out there ranting and raving about how wonderful he is. And look, so far he's winning. He still has a race to win, but so far he's winning.
Bro, if you didn't care about AOC, why would you mention that she was out there campaigning with Zohran? Man, I think Trump really does like AOC. Like, I think he's both sexually attracted to her and kind of impressed by the amount of heft she has in the political sphere.
Winning, and he has an advantage as a Democrat in New York.
Oh yeah, you can't hear it. It's only coming through the left channel, so maybe listen to the left channel. Yeah, what? Thank you for banning Ian. I was gonna, or putting him in a timeout. I was going to go over Zohran's policies later on, but we got to get through like this whole rhetoric first.
City. I was there a long time ago, and it was a long time since a Republican won the city. Yeah, but you would think that a Republican would be able to win. Or you have a good independent running, Mayor Adams, who's a very good person. I helped him out a little bit.
Basically, Trump's like, if you can't hear it, maybe I can put on subtitles. He said, Eric Adams is a very good person. Zohran's a communist, and maybe we're going to have to deport him. He's out there with AOC campaigning. All right, well, maybe we can find a different version of this. What's this? Trump deport on. Trump falsely questioned Zohran's. All right, let's just see this. ABC News. Do they have a video? Called him a nut job.
Well, then
There we
we'll
go.
have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching very carefully on behalf of the nation. We send him money. We send him all the things that he needs to run a government. And by the way, they get about 3 times what you get, Ron. If you look at the per capita, Florida gets 1/3 of what New York gets in terms of the numbers. Why don't you give us those numbers?
Yeah, well,
Because that's
no.
what we should send him.
Yeah, well,
And
and
he's a
sometimes
fact
people
check
say
this,
Florida
too.
gets more because they count Social Security recipients, but that's not money to the state. Those are seniors that live
Right.
here. If they moved to North Carolina, you could count it there.
There is whether it's money to the state or not. It's money flowing from the federal government into your state. Florida federal aid versus work. Which state relies the most on federal aid? All right, let's just see this USA fact. California, New York is 110 billion, Florida 58.8 billion. Okay, what's the population? These figures largely correlate with population. To interpret state reliance on the federal government more accurately, we can look at total aids as a percentage of annual state revenues. Sure, let's do that. In 2021, Montana led the states with the highest proportion of federal funding to the overall budget at 31.8%, followed by New Mexico, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Alaska. Vermont relied on federal grants the least, with just 12.8% of its total budget coming from the federal government. A total reversal from 2020 when it topped the list with 35.7% of revenues coming from the feds. Okay, cool. So what do we got here? So Florida, 18.9% of its overall revenues come from the federal government. And 17.7%. So they receive less than Florida. 18.9% of its total income versus 17.7% of its overall revenue. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Seems like they receive less. Florida received the least federal funding per person at the lower... Oh, so this is the least federal funding per person. At the lower end of the spectrum were Kansas, Nevada, Wisconsin, and South Dakota. So I guess per capita they received the least, but in terms of total revenue of the state, it's more than New York is. What is this? Oh, this is funding per person. So New York is 5,549 versus California 2,693. Well, once again, this is not a third. This is about half of the funding per capita. But once again, New York brings in way more money than Florida does. So if we're talking about a percentage of revenue, Florida receives more. All right, let's continue though. Just needed to take a break from that to fact check. Oh yeah, ABC.
So it has no interaction with the state government. They get more on the city and state governments than we get.
Right, substantially. We're going to be watching that very carefully, and a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. We're going to look at everything, and ideally, he's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist. I've always said we will not.
Like, what the fuck is he talking about? Ideally, he's going to be much less than a communist, but right now, he's a communist. He's not a socialist.
Not have socialism in this country. In the speeches, I said, well, what? They skip socialism. And you got a lot of them like that. And you see AOC, she's out there with her, bad IQ. She's out there ranting and raving about how wonderful he is. And look, so far he's winning. He still has a race to win, but so far he's winning, and he has an advantage as a Democrat in New York City. I was there a long time ago, and it was a long time since a Republican won the city. Yeah, but you would think that a Republican would be able to win. Or you have a good independent running, Mayor Adams, who's a very good person. I helped him out a little bit. He had a problem, and he was unfairly hurt over this question.
Trump's literally just openly admitting to corruption. Oh yeah, Mayor Adams was being investigated for corruption, but don't worry, I helped him out because now he's corrupt with me, the right person. By the way, thank you so much, chat. Thank you, Kate. I know you guys always do a great job of cleaning up chat. I don't know what the hell Ian's talking about, where he's saying Zohran sounds like an ADL employee other than support for Israel. Like, the ADL is to support Israel. That's the point of the AD. I don't actually know what he's talking about. He might actually be an Ethan Klein fan, because that's something that I saw on the H3 subreddit, where they're saying that, oh, Zohran said that Israel has a right to exist as long as they follow international law. So shouldn't Hassan be condemning Zohran as a Zionist? Like, these people are just being facetious, so I'm really happy that you guys are just like calling out this bullshit and not really even engaging with it at all.
He made a statement to the effect that this is terrible. New York City can't have all these immigrants come in. And like he was indicted the following day. And I said, that was a phony indictment. And it was a phony indictment. That was a Biden indictment. I said, don't feel bad. I got indicted 5 times every time you opened your mouth. That was a bad group.
Yeah, don't feel bad. You're being compared to one of the most prolific criminals of the last decade.
We turn now to the debate.
Probably the most prolific criminal of the last 10 years. Anyway, I just think it's so telling that Trump's literally trying to get Mamdani arrested by ICE or even deported. Meanwhile, he's supporting Eric Adams. So, like, if you live in New York and you're a New York voter, your decision cannot be more clear here. So the president also continued to allege that the 33-year-old Democratic Socialist is a communist. He said that he would stop masked ICE agents from deporting our neighbors. Trump responded, well, then we'll have to arrest him. He says, a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. We're going to look at everything. Ideally, he's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Mamdani said, I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with him, watching him, because he has to come right through this building. Oh, that's Trump. Trump said that. Trump said after threatening to withhold funding from New York if Mamdani doesn't do the right thing. What is the right thing? To let ICE just kidnap people? Mamdani called it intimidation. His statements don't just represent an attack on our democracy, but an attempt to send a message to every New Yorker who refuses to hide in the shadows. If you speak up, they will come for you. We will not accept this intimidation. So I just think that it's crazy that the Republicans are just blatantly trying to undercut the democratic will of the people. Like, we've known that they stand against democracy for a long time. We've known that that's been a thing. They've gerrymandered districts. They've made it harder to vote if you're a minority and more likely to vote Democrat. They've taken away voting locations, added more restrictive rules to make it more physically difficult to vote, added more paperwork for you to vote. They are an anti-democracy party. But now, like, that's always been under the guise of, we need to make our elections safe. Now it's just a progressive candidate won in a landslide, and they're just unabashedly trying every single angle they can think of, try to undermine the democratic will of the people. And as heartened as I am to see Zohran Mamdani win, and a progressive Democratic Socialist win a Democratic primary in a major race, it is a little bit worrying that the Republicans are kind of treating this as a playbook for every election going onwards from here. They're really just like pushing the boundaries, and I think that, like, I really hope they're not successful with Zohran, but if they are fucking successful, what's to stop them from doing this in every single subsequent election? There's going to be nothing to stop them from doing this. So, like, once again, when I talk about Zohran being a lightning rod for calls of anti-Semitism and calls of him being a jihadist. It's the same thing. He's a lightning rod for the Republican and the Democrats' total assault on democracy. So I like he's gonna have to suffer a lot of attacks, but hopefully if he can come out whole through and he can come out the other side in one piece, hopefully that he can like pave the way and help create a game plan to fight against this attack on democracy from hopefully he can pave a way for progressives to fight against that too. So we looked at this. Okay, so I have a few other tabs up, but while we're on Zohran Mamdani, I wanted to just look at some just like straight up racism. Like let's just dive even deeper into the fucking racism here. So is this an interview with Zohran? We'll watch a little bit of this interview.
Of New York Magazine, which says his historic primary upset has the city swooning, spinning, and reeling. And despite the excitement, though, some top Democrats are stopping short of endorsing him outright, including the top Democrats in the House and Senate, who also happen to be fellow New Yorkers. Zohran Mamdani is back with us. It's great to have you back on the show. We had you on 2 weeks after you announced your run. I would say back then, not a household name. Safe to say now, you're a national figure. So we greatly appreciate.
Are you giving yourself some credit there?
No, I'm saying we greatly appreciate you making time for us now that you've hit the big leagues.
No.
Let's talk about this kind of divide within the Democratic Party, right? And the slow endorsement. You've certainly been endorsed by AOC, Bernie Sanders. You've been welcomed by them. They're celebrating your victory. But the party leadership has not yet coalesced around you, if you will. I'm wondering how you plan on tackling that, just from a political standpoint, because at the end of the day, some will say you need the party. Certainly the party has to get behind you because you are now potentially the mayor of the biggest city, probably the most important city in America. And so they're going to have to, they can't ignore you, and they're going to have to find a way to work with you. So what's your strategy for closing that divide?
You know, I've been honored in the days since the primary to receive the endorsements of Congressman Nadler, of Senator Warren, of 32BJ SEIU, the Hotel Trades and Gaming Council, as well as NYSNA, the nurses union, and ultimately showing that this coalition continues to build each and every day. And the way that we move forward is the way that we got here. We earn every single endorsement. And I've appreciated the phone calls that I've had with Senator Schumer and Congressman Jeffries, articulating both the focus of our campaign on affordability and the necessity of that to be a central message in our party. And I'm excited to keep growing this coalition.
So you mentioned that the unions have come behind you. They had previously endorsed one of your opponents, Cuomo. And if you look at the results of the primary, you did very well with higher income voters and less well with the working class, with lower income voters, which doesn't sound like it should jibe with your agenda or your message in any event. To what do you attribute that to, that it has taken a while for the unions to come on board? And I guess I don't know what the latest polling is on lower income voters, but at least we know what the results were in the primary.
Well, we actually saw that we won the votes of voters who made $65,000 and above. And I would say that in New York City, that is very much a working class person's salary. And we have many more New Yorkers to win. And ultimately, we began this race, as you were saying in the beginning, at about 1% name recognition. And that's being charitable to myself. And we began it with a real uphill battle in introducing ourselves and our vision, and ultimately we won the primary. And yet I know that there's still so much more work to be done, especially when I was running against a former governor who was the son of a former governor and whose name in many ways was synonymous with politics. And yet what we show is that it's possible to move beyond just a politics of the past and the present. We can have a politics of the future. And I've been excited by the fact that on
he's
Tuesday
so good.
night, we didn't just
Simultaneously framing it as like, well, actually, no, I did do good with working class voters. And then also tying in the idea that there's like some nepotism and corruption there. He's like the underdog where he started off at 1%, but then through hard work and determination, he presented his vision of New York, of an affordable New York City to the city, and he got support through that way. And then finishing it up with like, and yeah, we are going to go forward and we are going to make things more affordable. Like he's just so good, guys. And this is the thing, there's one thing to have a good set of policies, but you like, especially if you don't have institutional backing and you're actually fighting against the institution, like Zohran, you need to be as charismatic as Zohran is.
See an incredible increase in Asian turnout across New York City. We didn't just see the more than doubling of turnout amongst 18 to 24-year-olds and increases for 25 to 29 and 30 to 34. We also saw the fact that we won Latino voters across New York City, and we closed a gap with black voters that at one point had been more than 50 points to now less than 20 points. And so much of the work of going through the general election is to continue doing that work of introduction and earning the support of New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs.
I have to ask you, too, about what it's been like for you to process some of the Islamophobic responses that we've seen. I think some would say they're not as surprised by some, like, Representative Ogles saying you should be deported, but others have been a bit surprised by, for example, a New York senator going on a popular radio show and suggesting that you support global jihad. What has that been like for you? And have you had the chance to speak with Senator Gillibrand?
I spoke to Senator Gillibrand soon after the victory on Tuesday evening.
Yeah, this is a really good question. And I wanted to watch MSNBC specifically because it's more of like a mainstream media, Democrat propaganda machine. And how were they treating Zohran? And it's a pretty like camaraderie. It's like a very like camaraderie tone that they're bringing on. It's happy. They're pressing him with some questions. They're like, oh well, some lower income voters voted for Cuomo and some union voters voted for Cuomo. But how did you talk about that? And then he's like, well, actually, we did get a lot of like working class voters voting for us. And now they're talking about how like the anti-Semitism that he's experiencing. I think this is really big because this is signaling to Democrats like, don't fucking be anti-Semitic. Don't accuse this person of supporting pogroms against Jewish people. And I think this is a pretty big shift in the tone of the Democratic Party, where now they are recognizing that people don't really fuck with Israel in the base of the Democratic voters. The people that are going to be going out and voting in primaries, it is important for you to have a moral stance against genocide. Like, that's a crazy thing to say, but based off of the last like 2.5 years, well, I guess like almost 2 years now, where the Democrats have just stuck their head in the sands and tried to ignore the genocide and use anti-Semitism to defend their actions of supporting genocide, it's really refreshing to have a candidate that speaks with moral clarity on this. And the Democratic base of voters will flock to that. They'll be attracted to that kind of moral clarity, and vaguely gesturing that he supports killing Jews is not going to fucking cut it anymore. Kirsten Gillibrand did that, and she got reamed. She got reamed so hard by her constituents, and I'm assuming by people across the country, calling her office, yelling at her online, yelling at her in her voice box, literally protesting outside of her office, that she had to fucking call Zohran Mamdani and apologize to him for her racist-ass comments. So I think that this is pretty big. Like, MSNBC talking about how a Democratic senator was racist to Zohran and was Islamophobic towards Zohran, basically calling out the bullshit use of anti-Semitism as a weapon against people standing for Palestinian rights, and especially like against a Muslim candidate standing for Palestinian rights. I think that's pretty big.
The comments that I've heard, especially from Republicans across the country, and even the comments prior during the primary, were comments that were both unsurprising and yet still quite sad, because they showcase what politics has become for so many. It's a language of darkness and a language of exclusion. And what has kept me hopeful through this is that our vision is one where every New Yorker belongs. And there are so many New Yorkers who previously hadn't voted in primaries, who saw themselves now in this politics, saw their struggles in our policies.
I love how he's not making this about himself, how he's not like, I was so offended by Kirsten Gillibrand. He relates it back to comments that he received throughout the campaign, and then talks about how this is bigger than myself. This is about a city where everyone deserves everyone feels like they belong there. And I know that like it's not all about me, and people are excited because now they're feeling represented in politics, and he's phrasing it in a way that's better than what I'm saying. But once again, making it about the city, making it about something bigger than himself. Yeah. Continue.
And took that step to actually cast a ballot. And what excites me is that there are moments where someone will cast a ballot for someone with an exclusionary vision like Donald Trump, and they can still come back to the Democratic Party. And so many of our victories were in neighborhoods that went for Donald Trump in the presidential election. We're talking about College Point or Diker Heights, so many of the same places we were told that we had now lost voters forever. And instead, what we've found is that if you have a relentless focus on an economic agenda and you welcome people back and you turn the political instinct from lecturing to listening, you can still have people come home to the Democratic Party as long as you show them that's a party that will fight for working people, not those that are benefiting off the struggles of working people.
So I just need to take a break right now and point out how Zohran literally is everything that Cenk Uygur wishes he was. Like, Cenk goes on to Charlie Kirk's show, he goes on to Patrick Bet-David, who knows what other fucking podcasts he's gone on, to try to appeal to the right-wing voters and talk about how great the conservatives are and how I actually agree with a lot of their policies, but we need to make sure that you, the conservative voter, holds them to it. What does holding them to it mean? Holding them to it means that, oh, if you are actually anti-war, then I'll vote for you again in 4 years from now. That's what holding it to it means. Cenk's basically saying, yeah, make sure that you re-elect these conservatives. It's absolutely insane. And then you have here Zohran being like, yes, I have a lot of Trump voters voting for me because I speak to their interests and I try to meet them at their own material conditions and represent their interests. Zohran actually fights for what these people need instead of being like, oh yeah, well, Donald Trump said he would work for you, so let's try to make sure that he actually is, and then, you know, he's a populist guy, but let's make sure that he stays populist. It's so fucking ridiculous. No, just address the issues of voters and then they're going to vote for you. That's the deal. Kamala Harris did not adequately address the issues voters were facing. Donald Trump did. He said, I'm going to make things cheaper for you, and I'm going to end wars. And I'm going to do that by killing trans people and killing immigrants. Kamala Harris is like, I'm going to make sure that you get $7,000 off when you buy your first home. I'm going to make sure that when you start a business in a minority majority area of your city, we're going to give you a $25,000 grant to help out with your business startup. Absolutely. It's just inane politics from Kamala Harris and the Democrats there. And the idea that Cenk Uygur, the self-proclaimed voice of the left, the archon of leftist thought in new media, is like, no, we gotta talk about how good the ideas that Trump had so that we can get the voters back. It's so painful listening to that man talk.
We are going to dig into some of your policies in the second part of this conversation after the break and some of the specifics of these economic policies. But I just want to kind of talk about the reaction and what this means right now for the Democratic Party, again, in a big picture way, which is you have always, this campaign was very successful in making you accessible to the media and to voters. Do you think you will still be able to do that going forward now that there is this intense spotlight, there is more pressure on you, you will be pulled in more directions, that the element of success that many say drove your campaign is going to be hard to maintain over the next several months in a general election?
It's definitely more difficult, especially in light of the kinds of threats that I'm receiving. But ultimately, I continue to believe that New Yorkers deserve a mayor that they can see, a mayor that they can speak to, a mayor they can ask questions of, even a mayor that they can yell at. And that is the mayor that I will be. And that's why people will see me across this city, because we need a city that is led by someone who understands it and who looks to represent each
So
and
no
every
intent
person.
to change what you did throughout the primary going forward? Still make yourself accessible.
You're going to see me walking a lot.
Still going to talk to reporters all the time?
Come on, look where I am.
On a Sunday night. Commit right now on this
Every
show?
Tuesday.
Oh, these are,
Sunday
these are the tough questions. I actually have a slightly harder question for you than whether you're going to come hang out with us again, because I know we are so adorable and fun to spend time with, which is that, you know, progressives have historically had a very complicated relationship with law enforcement and police. You yourself have been very critical of law enforcement. In a social media post from 2020, which has been resurfaced, you refer to the NYPD as, quote, racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. The current NYPD commissioner, Jessica Tisch, has also criticized the decision to ban NYPD LGBTQ plus members from the Pride Parade today. I think we
The fuck is this? The decision to ban LGBTQ plus members of the NYPD from the Pride Parade is a disgrace. Who? What is this? I write to follow up on Heritage of Pride's decision to exclude LGBTQ plus. Who wrote this? Oh, this was a letter that the police commissioner wrote. It said, 2 weeks ago, after months of productive conversations, you informed Detective Brian Downey, the president of GOAL, of your decision to ban his members from marching in uniform and with their service weapons. In response to outrage, your recent public statements attempt in 11th hour retreat, GOAL members can wear their uniforms but not carry their firearms. Unfortunately, that's not a solution, that's a PR stunt. What? So you said that, so they banned them from carrying weapons and dressed in uniforms, but then said, but you can. What the fuck? The decision to ban LGBTQ plus members of the NYPD from the Pride Parade is a disgrace to the spirit of pride. Read my letter to the organizers. So I write to follow up on Heritage of Pride's decision to exclude LGBTQ plus members of the New York City Police Department from a march that celebrates diversity, inclusivity, and visibility. Simply put, the decision to ban the Gay Officers Action League from the Pride Parade is a disgrace to the spirit of pride. Oh my God, get over yourself. 2 weeks ago, after months of productive conversations, you informed Detective Brian Downey of your decision to ban his members from marching in uniform and with their service weapons. In response to outrage, your recent public statements attempt an 11th hour retreat. GOAL members can wear their uniforms but not carry their firearms. Unfortunately, that's not a solution, that's a PR stunt. The inconvenient truth here is that the Heritage of Pride has long understood that as a matter of officer safety and a public safety, NYPD cops cannot wear their uniforms without their service weapons. Has long understood that as a matter of officer safety and public safety. Why is it officer safety? Oh my God. So they have to have guns with their uniforms at all times. Otherwise, it's an issue of public safety. Holy shit, this doesn't make any sense. So if you're a fucking cop and you're not at the parade's safe. If you're a cop and you're at the parade, but you don't have your gun, the parade's in danger now.
We have that up.
But if you're a cop and you have your uniform on and you do have your gun and you're at the parade, now the parade's safe. Holy shit, dude, this is fucking stupid. So that means that the uniformed armed members of the Gay Officers Action League are not permitted to participate in a marching contingent. Yeah, fuck that. Why should they be able to march with guns? It is also the height of hypocrisy to request the security and protection of thousands of armed uniformed police officers from the march on Sunday and then ban from the event that the very officers that proudly represent your community. Once again, why do they need guns to fucking march in a parade? Are they on there? Are they there to be on duty? Or are they there to represent the cops? You don't need a gun to represent the cops. And you don't need a gun if you're not like actually protecting the parade. This is insane. Bro, this is so stupid. She's literally pissing her pants because the cops aren't allowed to march with guns. I've never read a more fucking like pig-coated thing than that.
The decision to ban NYPD LGBTQ plus members from the Pride Parade today. I think we have that up on the screen. What do you think is the right way for...
They didn't ban them from the Pride Parade. They said they can't march with guns. Only a fucking cop would be like, I feel unsafe without my gun.
For Democrats and progressives to...
Bro, it's not even like there's no protection. They're saying that there's cops protecting the parade, but then the cops that are in the parade need guns too? They don't trust their fellow officers? What the fuck are they talking about?
Talk about law enforcement or the right relationship that they should have with law enforcement today.
You know, I've shown over the course of this campaign a clear recognition of the fact that police are critical to creating public safety across this city. And my proposal for the Department of Community Safety is one that was born out of my conversations with rank and file officers who have told me time and again their frustration with signing up to join the police force to tackle serious crimes and then being asked to play the roles of mental health professionals and social workers and fielding 200,000 mental health calls a year. And ultimately, my desire is for the police to be able to focus on those serious crimes, to be able to do their jobs by stopping asking them to respond to near.
But Zohran, you don't understand. The police need to be able to march in parades with their service weapons so they can effectively do their jobs. They can't effectively do their job if they're marching in a parade unarmed. They can't do that.
Nearly every failure of the social safety net. And that's why we have put forward this proposal to create a department that will tackle mental health crises, homelessness, victim services, hate crimes, gun violence, so that police can go back to those 7 major categories of crime we see in Compstat. Because ultimately, New Yorkers deserve to be safe. They deserve a police force that is able to focus on keeping them safe. And what we've seen is that in 2025, in the first quarter, 65% of crimes that were reported are yet to be solved. We need to make it easier for police to focus on solving those crimes. And I've been very clear, we're not defunding the police. We're sustaining the headcount of the police department and allowing them to do their actual job.
But that's not good enough.
1 second.
We need to increase the police. Anyway, is there an associated article with this? Trump threatens to arrest Mamdani. Okay, so we had this. This is, can Zohran Mamdani make his progressive vision a reality? Ooh, let's see about this. Is this a video or is this an article? An ad on here? How long is this video?
Candidate Zohran.
Oh, it's the one woman that seemed to not like Zohran.
Mamdani's progressive policies are exciting many on the left while drawing some skepticism from more moderate voters. Among the things he's calling for: raising taxes on corporations and the 1%, building more affordable housing, freezing the rent of rent-stabilized housing, creating city-owned grocery stores, providing free childcare for children ages 6 weeks to 5 years old, and making New York City buses free. Back with us, Zohran Mamdani. Thanks again. So a lot of the things that you have promised to do do sound very appealing. They sound popular. They are popular, for that matter. But they're expensive, and you don't actually control.
They're expensive and you don't control this. Yeah, well, Donald Trump doesn't control the Congress, and yet he passed the big, beautiful bill, right? So taxing corporations and the 1%, that's not expensive. That literally pays for itself. Build affordable housing. Yeah, that's expensive, but once again, once it's built, it pays for itself. Freeze the rent, literally not expensive at all. City-owned grocery stores, not expensive. That pays for itself. No cost childcare, that's expensive. Fast fare free buses, or fast fare free buses, that is also expensive. So you have like 3 services that he's talking about doing to immediately help people, and then other things that pay for themselves, and taxing corporations in the 1% is supposed to pay for all of this. So the framing of it as expensive is, I don't know, like a tired talking point, and one that's been addressed over and over again, but we'll see. Like, I'll let Zohran do the talking here.
To 5 years old, and making New York City buses free. Back with us, Zohran Mamdani. Thanks again. So a lot of the things that you have promised to do do sound very appealing. They sound popular. They are popular, for that matter. But they're expensive, and you don't actually control the funding mechanisms for a lot of these things, because ever since the 1970s, Albany, even when New York City almost went bankrupt, Albany sets tax rates rates for corporations and for individuals, for example. And Governor Kathy Hochul has even said on the record she ain't going to raise those taxes. So let's take a listen.
His whole campaign is based on raising taxes, which he says that he can get you to be on board with. Would you be on board with that?
No, I'm not raising taxes on people at a time when affordability is the big issue. I'm actually cutting middle class taxes.
Even on the wealthy.
I don't want to lose any more people to go to Palm Beach.
Oh my God. She talks about losing people from going to Palm Beach. Oh my God. So listen, I love the idea that people are going to leave New York if the taxes are raised. Like, it's so easy. And simultaneously, so you have billionaires being like, I'm gonna leave New York. Like, get me on the phone with a real estate agent in Florida because I'm leaving New York if Zohran gets elected. And then simultaneously, you have billionaires and millionaires donating millions of dollars. Chris Cuomo got like $25 million that he spent on this primary, and they're going to fundraise a lot more to try to get Zohran not elected in the official election, in the general election. So they're literally spending millions of dollars to not have Zohran elected. If you didn't care so much and it was so easy for you to just leave New York, why are you spending millions and millions of dollars to try to get this man not elected? The idea that they're going to just leave because taxes are raised is it's so funny to me. Like, they just don't want to pay more. They're not going to fucking leave because they actually do business in New York City. So the idea that like millionaires and corporations are going to leave New York City because they're paying higher taxes is comedic to me.
So where do you go from here?
I think the same way that we got here, right? When we began this campaign, the whole idea of us being able to win the Democratic nomination was considered to be a non-starter. And I think in the same way that we've built such a mandate to deliver a truly affordable
Mandate
city, what is currently the
Mamdani.
most expensive city in the United States, is how we continue to build that support. And we've seen in Albany that these ideas of taxing the 1% and the most profitable corporations to fund a more affordable life for all are things that actually have quite a bit of support within the legislature. And I think ultimately what unites the governor and my vision is this focus on affordability, and I'm very excited to work with her on it.
However, Bill de Blasio, our former mayor, who you have said was the best mayor of your lifetime, ran up against the exact same problem, that he promised a bunch of things that were quite popular, could not get Albany on board to pay for them or to give its blessing for the MTA, for funding the MTA and a bunch of other programs. So how are you going to make good on these promises where he went wrong?
I think actually that Bill de Blasio's central promise of his campaign was universal pre-K, and that's now one of the most.
But that was one priority, right?
His mistresses live in New York.
Capital into it. I just read off a list of like 10 things that you are saying you want to do.
And let me go through them one by one. Freezing the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants is something that the mayor can do through the Rent Guidelines Board. Previous administration did it 3 times. Municipal grocery stores, I proposed a pilot, 1 in each borough. That's 5 in total, at a total cost of $60 million, less than half of what the city's already set to spend on subsidizing corporate supermarkets at a cost of $140 million. Then when it comes to the need...
God damn, bro. Zohran's so fucking good at this. Actually has a fucking plan for all of his top priorities, right? For all of the policies that he campaigned on that were popular, that are his promises, he has a plan to get it done.
Of working with Albany, that's for free buses, that's for universal childcare. Free buses costs about $700 million a year, universal childcare around, let's say, $6 billion. Significant amounts of money. But the point that I am also making here is that universal childcare is a priority of Governor Hochul. Fast and free buses we've already seen be successful at the city level. And I am confident of our ability, in the same way that Bill de Blasio was able to build a large-scale mandate to deliver on universal pre-K, and now it's celebrated by everyone, that we can actually get that same kind of political movement to deliver on these very things.
Speaking of the political movement, I want to ask you about some of the coalition building work you still have ahead of you, particularly with older Black voters. Some of them are not sold on you yet, not because they wouldn't benefit from many of the things that you just laid out. In fact, rent stabilization, they're in many cases very likely to benefit from in many of the neighborhoods of this city. But At times, they've expressed skepticism, concern that you won't be able to get more moderate white voters to support you, or that they distrust some of the white young progressives who've been part of fueling your movement. How do you make inroads there? And what's your message to voters who aren't sure you're old enough, experienced enough, and ready to build those relationships in their specific community?
I think the first thing is to approach those conversations with an understanding that I have to earn that support. And there are many older voters, older black voters, who the first time they may have heard of me might have been through the more than $30 million that was spent against me over the course of the primary.
In many cases, yeah.
And ultimately, when I would go to a church on Sunday, a lot of times when I'd be having conversations, the questions that would be raised would be about those attack ads that people had seen in 30-second increments, or a mailer in their mailbox, or something they heard on the radio. And I would introduce myself. And ultimately, I was only able to reintroduce myself to so many people, given the scope of the attacks against me. These next few months are an opportunity to continue to do just that. And ultimately, I also know that I wasn't just running against a former governor. I was running against a former governor who was the son of a former governor, because so often those conversations would come back to Mario Cuomo. And when you have just an 8-month period to come up against decades of familiarity, you sometimes fall short with each and every older voter. And now it's my job to win their trust and to show them, in fact, that their concerns, especially affordability, it's at the heart of this campaign, because too often we think of affordability as if it's about young people staying in the city or families that are just about to settle down. But I've spoken to a grandmother in Brownsville at a senior center who told me she's been on a waiting list for senior housing for 7 years. The inability for our city to build that kind of housing, to keep it affordable, is also a senior issue, and I'm excited to share that with each and every New Yorker.
You've talked a lot about inclusivity and trying to keep expanding this coalition. I wanted to ask about one of your policies that has raised a little bit of eyebrows, because it's the language that's used, and it's mentioned in a memo that is on your website about New York homeowners. You've said that you've wanted to shift the tax burden from, quote, overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and white neighborhoods. Can you clarify that? Why did you feel the need to use that language?
It's so funny. Like, Zohran's biggest base of support is white New Yorkers. And they're like, wait a second, are you anti-white racist? Are you an anti-white racist?
Because some people, whether it's the accurate description of the pure demographics or not, it has been used by people in the media, I'm sure you've seen the New York Post headlines and others, to sow and foment.
I mean, once again, this is to undo some of the harms of redlining in when neighborhoods were being created and not being sold to minorities, not being sold to members of minority groups, and they were kept white. That is a historical fact that carries through to this day, where there is still effective redlining, where neighborhoods are still mostly white, upper class. You have lower class, non-white neighborhoods. And actually, in order to create a more affordable city, and you do need to tackle the problems of historical redlining and try to erase that historical redlining. So this is something that Minneapolis did, and they did that through trying to upscale different zoning areas and create more affordable homes by allowing for duplexes and triplexes in neighborhoods that were historically just like single family white owned homes. But you can go through and map historical redlined maps to upper class and lower class neighborhoods today. It's a pretty one-for-one comparison in a lot of cities across this country.
Divisions in this city. Why did you feel the need to use that language?
It was more of a description of the neighborhoods that are currently being undertaxed, as opposed to the intention of where we would tax New Yorkers. Nothing can be worked backwards from some kind of racial goal in this city. It has to be a system that is actually equitable. And what we've seen time and again is that the property tax system is something that is unfair, and it is something that even Eric Adams acknowledged when he was running in 2021, something that he promised to rectify within 100 days of becoming became the mayor. And then what he did instead was to defend it at every single juncture in court and to lose. And the reason that he lost is because we know it's inequitable. This is something that is a glaring example of city government's inability to meet the moment. And the use of that language is more of a descriptor of the neighborhoods as opposed to an intention of the goal.
So another question on the tax issue. I'm sorry, I'm a tax person.
Please.
I may not be the child of many governors, but I'm the descendant of many many generations of accountants. So if you do succeed, let's say, in convincing Albany to raise taxes, and I'm a little skeptical that that'll happen, but let's say you do, there is concern, as Governor Hochul mentioned, that there will be people who leave New York City for Palm Beach or elsewhere. I know we're not going to be playing our little violins for the billionaires who have to pay more.
I also do love this because it's like, okay, billionaires leave. Now New York City becomes more affordable.
Or taxes, but they do take a lot of money with them. And in fact, the Citizens Budget Commission found that hundreds of thousands of high-income New Yorkers
money that's
have
not
left
getting taxed.
New York City in just the past 5 years. And households that earn more than $1 million pay about 40% of New York City taxes. So why dismiss concerns that your potential tax base that you need to harvest money from to pay for these things will leave?
I don't think that these are concerns to be dismissed. These are ones that I have to engage with. And ultimately, as part of the other conversation of how do we win over voters who haven't yet joined this campaign and this coalition, I have to meet with New Yorkers who are concerned about any aspect of my campaign. I have to meet with them who oppose with this campaign, because I'm not looking to lead a coalition of those that voted for me. I'm looking to lead an entire city of 8.5 million people. And the reason that I believe that we need to increase taxes on the 1% and the most profitable corporations is because of the fact that those are taxes that would then pay for a better quality of life for all.
But only if they stay.
And the reason that I believe that they would stay, because I want them to stay, is that when the Fiscal Policy Institute did an analysis of the top 1% of New Yorkers, they found they leave at 1/4 the rate of other income brackets. And when they do leave, they go to other states that are considered high tax, New Jersey or California.
I've seen this study, and I have to say I'm a little dubious, because we're talking about a major change in the tax system that would hasten departures that are already happening. Again, we've lost hundreds of thousands of wealthy New Yorkers already.
We now have more millionaires than we did in 2021 in this state. And the reason that I'm confident is all I'm speaking about is a 2% increase in income taxes for New Yorkers who make $1 million or more a year. And when it comes to corporations, it's matching our state's top corporate tax rate, 7.25%, to that of New Jersey, 11.5%. That's why I believe.
Like, at the end of the day, Zohran doesn't really have anything to say here. I mean, he can cite studies that are like people at the upper income brackets don't leave as much as the lower income brackets, which is obviously true. Like, those people are getting priced out at a slower rate than lower income bracket, like the lower income earners. But at the end of the day, he's just got to be like, well, my policies would make life better for everyone in New York, even the 1% that I'm taxing more, even the people that are earning more than $1 million a year and would have to pay that 2% extra tax. But they wouldn't have to pay for buses. There'd be cheaper grocery stores. They'd have free childcare. They have all of the same social services that everyone else in New York has. There would be less crime, less homelessness. My policies would make life better for everyone, even the 1%. That's really, at the end of the day, all he can say, because he can be like, yeah, well, like, there's evidence that shows that people aren't going to leave, but then people are just going to say that, well, they are going to leave. So at the end of the day, you can really only say that I'm going to make you pay more money, but you're going to have returns on the money that I'm making you pay. And isn't that what everyone that pays taxes wants at the end of the day? Isn't that what, like, the whole argument that Joe Rogan had against, like, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden was that, oh, well, my tax money's being spent on bad stuff. But every time he talks to, like, Kyle Kalinske or Bernie Sanders, he's like, I'd pay more money in taxes if I knew what it was going to. Like, at least make them pretend that they'd be willing to pay more to help the common good. Because isn't that what, like, all conservatives say they would do? They're like, well, don't tax me, but I donate to charities and I help the common good. And corporations, like, help people by paying for their health care, and they help people by having child care stapled into their work programs. And it's like, but they don't have to do that. There's no laws saying that rich people have to donate to charity and rich people have to help out the poor. So come on, put your money where your mouth is. Vote for Zohran, right? Vote blue no matter who.
That this is both feasible and necessary, but I'm going to meet with business leaders about this. I've already started having those conversations because I do not want them to leave. I want them to stay. And the reason I think that we can have them stay is we're going to use this money to create a better quality of life even for themselves.
Yeah.
Zohran Mamdani, I was not joking earlier when I said
every Sunday night.
Well, that, sure. But just in general, that if you were to pull this thing off, it would be nice to have a mayor who's willing to answer tough questions at the round table. So you'll be welcome back.
Of accountants.
I know, I made myself sound really cool.
We got a diverse group of people here. So we represent many. Yeah, we represent many walks.
There's a decent slice of New York at this table, actually.
Sons of immigrants,
you have to battle
sons of
it out
accountants.
for every single one of our votes.
Sons of accountants.
Zohran Mamdani, thank you so much. It's great.
I mean, man, he's like knocking these interviews out of the park. Jesus Christ, Zohran. All right, so you go from like, I'm pleasantly surprised with how that MSNBC interview, because they could have been like, oh, are you anti-Semitic? Do you support Hamas? Like, what's going on here? You made a rap song in 2021 about how charity workers shouldn't be executed on the spot. They shouldn't be lynched by a mob. So like, what's the deal here? So we're going from that like pleasant interview to this small-faced man, or is he big-headed man? The Charlie Kirk show. This is not on YouTube, by the way. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Charlie Kirk on Megyn Kelly. We'll watch this later. I don't know how much I can stand of this, but god damn, like, look at this shit. Why won't Zohran Mamdani use a fork is the title of this. Just like the most pure racism. Okay. Anyway, just absolutely. I mean, it's a Charlie Kirk title, right? It's a Charlie Kirk title. Let's listen.
Hey, everybody, it's the Charlie Kirk Show. We're here at the Bitcoin.com studio. That's the Bitcoin.com studio. What's wrong with eating rice with your hands? Well, I tell you why we should not fall for this idea that we cannot judge other cultures. Email us, as always, freedom@charliekirk.com, and subscribe to the Charlie Kirk Show podcast page. That is the Charlie Kirk Show podcast page.
Bro, it's not even 20 seconds in, and he's like, just let me be racist. I'm going to tell you why it's okay to be racist. Holy shit. He's like, what's wrong with eating rice with your hands? Well, let me tell you why it's a bad idea to not be racist. Bro, this is insane. Like, once again, you can make moral judgments about other cultures, like, especially when it comes to human rights abuses, like killing people, circumcising them, maybe like female circumcision, especially because that's just, it's like an even worse form of genital mutilation. Treating minority groups badly, like being homophobic, being racist. You can make moral statements about the ways about other cultures like that. But just being like, oh my god, you eat not with a fork? That's like fucking 1600 style racism. That's like, oh, and the people of the new world eat in a barbaric manner, where they put the food right from their hands directly to their lips without a utensil to aid them. Dude, eating with your hands is the most natural, it's literally the most natural thing in the world. Okay. All right, let's continue. 20 seconds in, and he's like, let me, Charlie Kirk, tell you why you should be racist.
And get involved with Turning Point USA at tpusa.com. That is tpusa.com. Start a high school or college chapter today at tpusa.com.
Oh,
okay, everybody,
God.
It is the event of the summer. Coming up in Tampa, Florida. It's an event unlike any other. It is our Student Action Summit. All ages are welcome. It's SAS2025.com. We have Pete Hegseth coming, Kristi Noem,
Ew.
Carlson,
Ew.
Megyn Kelly, Donald Trump Jr., Steve Bannon,
Can't get the
Brett
big
Gutfeld,
boy.
Laura Ingraham, Ross Ulbricht, Byron Donalds, Tom Homan, Ben Carson, Brett Cooper, Michael Knowles, Brandon Tatum, Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, Riley Gaines, James O'Keefe, and more. That is SAS2025.com. You can find your future wife, your future husband, your future soulmate, a future job, and a career. Go to SAS2025.com. That is SAS2025.com for this game-changing, life-changing event. So take a look at it right now at SAS2025.com, SAS2025.com. Email us
Oh,
as
shut
always,
the fuck
freedom
up.
at charliekirk.com.
You have so much
That is freedom
advertising.
at charliekirk.com. Buckle up, everybody. Here we go.
Charlie, what you've done is incredible here.
Maybe Charlie Kirk is on the college campus.
I want you to know we are lucky to have Charlie.
Members only.
Charlie Kirk's running the White House, folks.
I want to thank Charlie. He's an incredible guy. His spirit, his love of this country. He's done an amazing job building one of the most powerful youth organizations ever created, Turning Point USA.
We will not embrace the idea.
Holy shit, this guy's more self-indulgent than Kevin Costner is in Yellowstone. Dude, what the fuck is this? The Guardian, University of California, San Diego, The Guardian. Life lessons with Charlie Kirk and chicken guy Jacob Huang. Best advice often comes from unexpected places. This was May 5th. This was this year. Political commentator Charlie Kirk and Costco Club president Jacob Huang gave UC San Diego. Costco Club president? What the... Bro, what the actual fuck is this cursed article? When getting advice, it is essential to... How does he team up with a Costco Club president? To honor this historic day and these two unlikely rivals, we would like to share all the takeaways we gathered from Republican political commentator Charlie Kirk and famous S-eater, is that shit-eater? S-eater? And third-year USC SD student Costco Club president Jacob Huang, famous chicken eater. Charlie Kirk's advice. Dude, this is so fucked up. Okay, so I guess this guy is not horrible, right? Always give it your all. Let's read the not cursed advice first. Jacob Huang's advice. Always give it your all. That's great. Find community in unexpected places. Friendship reigns supreme. I can tell he watches a lot of anime. You can't do everything alone. True. Most importantly, have fun. I love this. I love this advice. Chicken or Charizard? Take your pick. Okay, well, yeah, you didn't have to tell me that you were a Pokemon fan. I could have guessed that. So he's just like power of friendship all the way through. Charlie Kirk's advice, don't smoke weed. Because forget just say no. Just say no. Just stay neoliberal is a far more effective tactic. Acquire a stay-at-home wife. Just acquire one. You know how this guy's the president of the Costco Club? Well, I represent a group that's like Costco, but for buying wives. Just go to my Turning Points USA event and we'll set you up on the black market so that you can have a stay-at-home wife. What the fuck? Did these people write this like shitting on Charlie Kirk? According to Charlie Jerk Off Kirk, the key to maintaining a good home life is having a not ugly stay-at-home wife who raises your children. I agree. Everybody, the men, women, girls, gays, they, thems, and furries out there should find a woman and start popping out young Republicans. Women are not simply meant for work, are simply not meant for work. They are meant to lounge on beach chairs with romance novels and bottomless mimosas. Bro, what the this is hilarious. What? Political, he gave you students their best life tips? This is crazy. Delete social media. According to CJ, social media is a tool for liberals, not for dunking on them. That's right. Your feed is a subliminal messaging hub. I don't know what this is, but it's hilarious. Quit vegetarianism, because who's a vegetarian in this day and age? Listen to Charlie Kirk. I mean, how many of his fans are vegetarians where that would meaningfully affect their life? Listen to Charlie Kirk. Anyway, this is hilarious. This is awesome. I need to read this article. This is so fucking funny. Watching Chuck absolutely own UCSD first years and non-affiliates taught me that one thing is true above all, chip notes. Oh, so did Charlie Kirk go to UCSD? Chip knows best. Thinking of breaking up with her partner, Char Char says that time changes, but people do not. Break up with that hideous maiden. Interested in helping the United States devolve into fascism? Chatty is on it. So I'm handing over our life lessons with Lifestyle column to my diva, Charlussi. Chaz says you should ditch whatever plant-based diet you are on and eat whatever meat you want. Therefore, with Charles's permission, I've decided to ditch vegetarianism and go full carnivore. No more vegetables, just raw chicken and cold butter. Real talk, I've vomited 4 times today and I think I might have measles. Yeah, sure, I could cook the chicken. But as someone who believes in traditional values, the chicken should be eaten as God/chap intended. Raw, Jacob Hoying could learn a thing or two from this. That's so awesome. Don't smoke weed. There are a lot of reasons why you shouldn't smoke weed. It can weaken your lungs, affect your brain development, and increase cancer risk. Charlie, however, offers a brand new reason to avoid the green devil. Smoking weed makes you a obnoxious, blue-haired, pronoun-having liberal. I cannot believe no one has ever studied this horrific phenomenon before. Understanding this is the solution to the American drug crisis. Forget just say no. Just say neoliberalism, far more effective tactic. He was wearing a diaper to protest safe spaces. Oh God, what is with these freaks and like dressing up as women or wearing diapers and shit like that? Like that's just reminiscent of Steven Crowder doing Dre at every chance he can get. All right, come on, Charlie. Are you done jerking yourself off yet? No, he's not. Holy shit, that introduction was like a minute and a half long of just sound bites puffing smoke up Charlie's ass.
Now there is a viral clip of Zohran Mamdani giving an interview while he's doing something that, quite honestly, is very disgusting.
I don't even know if Charlie has eaten.
But also just kinds of show what he is pointing towards. I have many thoughts on this. And whether it's orchestrated or not, first we just need to make a comment that we in the West value cleanliness. We have utensils.
No, you don't. You probably don't even wipe your asshole because it's gay.
Food is designed that way. Rice, since we have utensils, you don't eat it because we're not in the third world.
You don't eat rice?
This is Zohran Mamdani.
What? Did this motherfucker say you don't eat rice in America? Or in the West?
It's kinds of show what he is pointing towards. I have many thoughts on this. And whether it's orchestrated or not, first we just need to make a comment that we in the West value cleanliness. We have utensils. We teach our kids to use utensils. They say, well, what about burgers and pizza? Yeah, that food is designed that way. Rice, since we have utensils, you don't eat it because
food is designed that way. You dumb motherfucker, you can eat rice with your hand. What do you mean? Oh, my white food you can eat with your hand, but that non-white food you can't. If you eat that with your hand, that's disgusting. That's just, have you ever heard of naan bread? Have you, like, dude, fuck naan bread. You don't even need naan bread. You can just eat rice with your hand. At any point. You can do that at any point.
With your hands. That we in the West value cleanliness. We have utensils. We teach our kids to use utensils. They say, well, what about burgers and pizza? Yeah, that food is designed that way. Rice, since we have utensils, you don't eat it because we're not in the third world. With your hands. This is Zohran.
Bro, that's so fucking racist. Holy shit. Wait, hold on. Where's the clip? Where's the clip of Zohran?
So right now there is a viral clip. Cut 251. So he's
the holy grail of taboos in American politics. You have socialism, you have Islam, and then you have Palestine. And you are really going for the trifecta. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
So he's eating New York street food, and Charlie Kirk's trying to say that this is an un-American, un-Western thing.
Tell me, why is Palestine a part of your politics?
When you grow up as...
Bro, I kind of just I kind of do appreciate just like the 1800s to 1600s style of racism that Charlie Kirk is bringing back to be racist against Zohran, because it just shows he has nothing on the man. He has nothing on him. Oh my God, he ate rice with his hands. Let's literally make that the title of my podcast. He made that the title of his podcast. It says, why won't Zohran Mamdani use a fork? He thinks that that's a hit. He thinks that's a banger. Also, love this, I mean, not really a subtle dog whistle, but he's like, in the West, we don't eat rice. 5 seconds later, with our hands. Like, come on, let's listen to that one more time.
In the West, value cleanliness. We have utensils. We teach our kids to use utensils. They say, well, what about burgers and pizza? Yeah, that food is designed that way. Rice, since we have utensils, you don't eat it because we're not in the third world.
You don't eat it because we're not in the third world with your hands.
This is Zohran Mamdani eating disgustingly, talking about the struggle of Palestine.
Eating disgustingly. Dude, maybe it'd be disgusting for you because you don't wash your hands after you take a shit. But for people that actually care about hygiene, they wash their hands before they eat anyway.
Value cleanliness. We have utensils. We teach our kids to use utensils. They say, well, what about burgers and pizza? Yeah, that
it's streamed on Rumble.
Rice, since we have utensils, you don't eat it because we're not in the third world. With your hands.
With your hands.
This is Zohran Mamdani.
Bro, this guy is so
disgustingly.
Honestly, Charlie Kirk is like ahead of his time, man. He's in that uncanny valley. It's like he's an AI generated person before AI even became mainstream. He's just so weird looking. He really is a fucking freak, man. I mean, no wonder he hides his podcast on Rumble and then uploads it to all of these non-video feeds like iTunes and Spotify.
Talking about the struggle of Palestine. It's so contrived. Play cut 251.
So the third holy grail of taboos in American politics, you have socialism, you have Islam, and then you have Palestine. And you are really going for the trifecta.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Tell me, why is Palestine a part of your politics?
When you grow up as someone, especially in the third world, you have a very different understanding of the Palestinian struggle.
So he's not even eating with his hands correctly. People that have grown up in the third world, they say,
bro, oh my God. You just said eating with your hands is disgusting, and now suddenly you're an expert in eating with your hands. Okay. Just notice how he doesn't actually play any of Zohran's response. He cuts him off in about like 5 seconds after he starts talking because he's so fixated on just being as racist as he can be.
The third world, they say he's not even doing it right. He's just faking it. He's doing this to signal.
Who are you talking to from the third world that's criticizing Zohran in the way, based off the way he's eating? Who are you talking to, dude? You're literally like revolted by the idea of a brown person on your screen, and you're polling the third world about the correct form of eating with rice with your fingers.
His third world cred. So think about it. To get credibility in the New York mayor's race, you have to pretend to be in the third world.
That's what he said. That's his conclusion. To get credibility, you have to pretend to be in the third world. Holy shit. Oh my God, that's so fucking funny. So he thinks Zohran's pretending to be in the third world.
Play cut 251.
All right, let me turn this up, guys.
So the third holy grail of taboos in American politics, you have socialism, you have Islam, and then you have Palestine. And you are really going for the trifecta.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Tell me, why is Palestine a part of your politics?
When you grow up as someone, especially in the third world, you have a very different understanding of the Palestinian struggle.
So he's not even eating with his hands correctly. People that have grown up in the third world, they say he's not even doing it right. He's just faking it. He's doing this to signal his third world cred. So think about it. To get credibility in the New York mayor's race, you have to pretend to be in the third world. Now understand that in the modern world, authenticity is considered to be the most important thing ever. But should it be? Now, authenticity, if you're pointing towards something good and virtuous, is beautiful. Your authentic best version of yourself, to be honest, if you're pointing towards a moral and transcendent ideal. But Zohran Mamdani is not authentically trying to point New York or aim towards a better city. He's trying to bring New York into the gutter. And authenticity without virtue is just narcissism in disguise. Let me say that again. Authenticity without virtue is just narcissism in disguise. People say, well, he's just being himself. He's so authentic. Okay, if a third worlder comes and starts defecating on the side of the street in Times Square, are we going to say, boy, he's being his true and authentic self?
Bro, what the fuck is this bullshit? This is crazy. Okay, so first of all, he pulls some like new age Christian biblical bullshit out of his ass where he's like, authenticity without virtue is just narcissism in disguise, which makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. And then he's like, oh, well, first he's like, being in the third world is disgusting. Then he's like, I have great friends in the third world, and they say that Zohran Mamdani's not even doing the hand rice technique correctly, and they ridicule him for just being a poser. And then he's like, just wait until someone from the third world comes out and takes a shit on the streets. Dude, this guy is just so fucked up. I mean, I kind of appreciate that he's an indicator of where the Republicans are, because it makes us realize that just how fucking racist and evil these people are. And he's not like even hiding it anymore. But apparently he hit it good enough for Cenk. Remember when Cenk Uygur went onto this man's show when he showed up at Turning Points USA? And then he's like, oh, Charlie, my brother. I know we have a lot of disagreements, but I agree with you on a lot of stuff. And Charlie's like, yeah, but you're a fucking loser, right, Cenk? And he's like, yeah, I know, I'm a loser. And everyone on the audience is like, yeah, fuck Cenk Uygur. He's a sellout. He was against Trump, and now he's pretending that he's in favor of Trump. What a sellout. This virulently racist piece of shit, Charlie Kirk, who's like, Zohran's disgusting because he ate rice with his hands, was whitewashed by Cenk Uygur when Cenk went on his show and is like, I agree with you so much. I mean, holy fuck, dude. Cenk is a joke. He's such a joke to this leftist movement. Anyway. Oh my god. Alright, I'll listen to a little bit more of this. I don't think he talks about Zohran that much.
He's really being wonderful. No, we have standards in the West. In fact, when I'm raising my daughter,
you have a
and I try to
podcast.
teach her table manners, I don't say, just be your authentic self, honey. Keep on interrupting us. Use your hands when you eat macaroni and cheese. No, in fact, my wife and I, Erica, we go through methodical lessons of here's a spoon. Here's how to use it.
You do methodical
because we want
lessons?
to elevate the human being.
How stupid is your kid?
Our natural.
You do methodical lessons on how to use a spoon? Did your wife drink while she was pregnant? What are you talking about? Dude, you do realize chopsticks is more complicated than using a spoon and a fork, right? Why are you pretending like it's some kind of math equation that every Westerner has to solve and to elevate themselves above eating with their hands? As Spencer said, it's more difficult to eat rice with your hands than it is to use a fucking fork or a spoon and just like go over and over and over again. You actually need to have skill when you use your hands to eat rice. What are you talking? You do methodical lessons for your 5-year-old kid?
Broken fleshly state. 500 million people in India defecate on the side of the street. That's bad. We don't do that in the West because we try to value cleanliness, order, and yes, actually things that...
He literally said every single fucking Indian shits on the side of the road. Holy crap. He's such a racist piece of shit.
Aren't filled with filth. Now, Zohran Mamdani, he's faking this entire thing, obviously. He's trying to be authentic.
Also, I guess like Zohran's part Indian, right? I think he was speaking Hindi, so yeah, I think Zohran's of Indian descent. I love that there too. It's like, oh yeah, all the Indians shit on the roads.
Third world when he himself is not even authentically third world. So the whole thing is just so bizarre.
He's eating street food in New York, dude. He didn't go to India for that and bring it back. He's literally wearing a suit in that clip. What do you mean he's trying to pretend to be... He's trying to be a third world. He's trying to be a New Yorker. He's not wearing like a... What are those Indian robes called? Like a sar? Indian robe. I wasn't thinking about this, but anyway, he's not wearing like traditional Indian garb, pretending like he's just came off the streets of India. He's literally wearing a suit in New York, eating New York street food.
Like, why would you fake being in the third world because that gets you brownie points because people say, oh.
Brownie points. Dude, he's actually a master of racism. Charlie Kirk is like the old man at the top of the mountain that you need to climb up to and then convince to train you if you want to be as racist as Charlie. He just, it's so condensed. He hits you with it over and over and over again. It's like a 8-point combo that he's hit us with of racism.
He is a embodiment of the struggle against Western civilization. And people say, I like Mamdani because he's authentic. But authentic to what? And what is he aiming towards?
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
He's aiming towards a devolution. It's bad either way. By the way,
it's a devolution. Dude, holy shit. Just like, man, I mean, he weaves in the racism with the with down talking his policies. He's like, yes, he's aiming for something. First of all, he said he wants to bring New York to the third world, and then he's calling it a devolution, right? This is literally just race science that he's advocating for. He's like, yes, white people are more evolved than non-white people or brown people.
He writes with his hands, whether he means it or not. He's either authentically gross or he's being a fake, disgusting person. And in some of the comments of a TikTok video I made, people said, but Charlie, who are you to judge other cultures? No. That's the point. We in Western culture believe that our way of life is the best. We're better than Mohammedism. We don't do female genital mutilation. Well, I guess the trans people do, but we don't do female genital mutilation.
You do male genital mutilation, right? Aren't Americans circumcised?
The West don't have child marriages. We don't believe in honor.
Dude, you literally advocate for child marriage. What the fuck? The Republicans want child marriage. They want to ban no-fault divorces. They want to get rid of abortions. They want to get rid of sex ed in schools. You are an advocate of that. You are jealous of countries that have child marriage.
Honor killings. We don't believe in polygamy. We believe in American exceptionalism. We believe our culture is better. You see, in the modern world, happiness is the goal, feelings are the guide, judgment is the ultimate sin, and God is the...
What? Judgment is the ultimate sin? While you're literally defending, you just said, oh, I got comments saying, Charlie, who are you to judge other cultures? And then 20 seconds later, you're saying judgment is the ultimate sin? What the fuck is happening, dude? Like, he's just free with it. He's doing the drunken style master racism course right now. He's just flowing. He has no consistency. He's not stiff. His feet aren't planted to the ground. He just goes wherever the wind pushes him. He's actually like in the fucking flow state of racism. He's like, yes, and I'm even racist against white people. Even white people are trash. We don't do child genital mutilation, although we do, and I'm in favor of having sex with underage women. But that's still something that the Mohammedism I disagree with. And they are the backwards people, although they have every single thing that I want America to have.
Point. We in Western culture believe that our way of life is the best. We're better than Mohammedism. We don't do female genital mutilation. Well, I guess the trans people do, but we don't do female genital mutilation. We in the West don't have child marriages. We don't believe in honor killings. We don't believe in...
Honor killing? You don't believe in... The Republicans are the ones that are pro-execution. They're the ones that are in favor of all of the political violence we're seeing. Like, we just saw two politicians get assassinated in Minnesota. Well, one survived, thankfully, and the Republicans were applauding that. Donald Trump Jr. was wearing a shirt that was like, yes, I love the fact that Paul Pelosi got attacked with a hammer. I love that fact. I mean, let alone the fucking assassinations that America does all over the world. Donald Trump assassinating the Iranian general, supporting Israel in killing Iranian diplomats and the diplomats of Hamas too. Like, we're not going to call those honor killings.
Polygamy. We believe in American exceptionalism. We believe our culture is better. You see, in the modern world, Happiness is the goal, feelings are the guide, judgment is the ultimate sin, and God is the ultimate guess. And let me say that again, judgment is the ultimate sin. You're not allowed to judge others. Guess what? I'm going to judge you if you eat rice with your hands. That's bad. That's wrong. Assimilation is a necessity, not a suggestion. And guess what? We don't believe in resentment-based confiscation of other people's stuff. The third world loves that. We say no.
Resentment-based confiscation of other people's stuff. Basically, don't tax me. But if America goes in to a country and steals us all of its resources or takes the land, that's not resentment-based. That's just us rightfully conquering another land. It's not resentment-based at all. But if you tax me, that's resentment-based.
They say, no, you're not going to all of a sudden have city-run grocery stores like they do in Cuba or Venezuela. No, you're not going to send social workers where police should be going. And no, you're not going to go take other people's stuff, because here in the first world, in America's wealthiest city and largest city, we know how to create wealth. In the third world, they haven't figured it out. Go to South Africa. Go to Southeast Asia. Go to most of sub-Saharan Africa. Go to most of the rest of the world. They haven't quite figured it out. We know how to
Yeah, because all of those places haven't been completely fucked over by the Western civilization that you're talking about. I mean, citing Cuba as an example of a third world place that hasn't figured out how to create wealth, when America's embargoed it for how many years now? Like 50 years now? I mean, are you going to talk about China at all? Are you going to talk about... does China not know how to create wealth, Charlie? I think a lot of people in China eat rice there with their hands, or even worse, with wooden sticks that could splinter in their mouths. How barbaric is that?
Create wealth. In fact, they
don't eat with little flimsy plastic utensils that give off microplastics in their brain. Oh my God, Charlie. Oh my God. They're such savages.
Is the question that perplexes most of humanity. Anyone can take, anyone can destroy. Few can build. Few can take risks. Few can build skyscrapers. Few can build trillion-dollar companies. It takes no
what the
skill
fuck
or
are you
talent
talking about?
for Zohran Mamdani to do what he's doing, and the embodiment of him eating rice with his hand.
Then you run for mayor of New York. If there's no skill or talent in what Zohran did, I'm sure you can do it, brother.
Is the perfect physical manifestation of him trying to throw New York City into the third world gutter, and we must resist him.
Okay, well, there we go. He says Zohran eating rice with his hands is the perfect manifestation of him trying to throw New York City into the third world gutter. Basically, Charlie Kirk is just racist, and he doesn't like brown people in New York or the rest of America, and he doesn't like things that remind him of brown people in New York or in the rest of America. I mean, holy shit, what a racist asshole, dude.
We got to talk about the fact that New York is becoming a communist Bolshevik town. It's incredible. I'm sorry. I've lived in New York State for 50 years and only recently moved to Connecticut and New York City for 17. I can't believe they've done this. How did we go from Giuliani, Bloomberg, cross over de Blasio and Adams to a socialist who now is very likely to win because anybody who gets the Democratic nomination wins. Now, it's true, some people will organize against him. Some New York business leaders are very scared. Some Jews in New York are very scared that this guy who defended Globalize the Intifada recently on a podcast at the Dispatch is their next likely mayor. So they could potentially organize now in a way they didn't before the primary to stop him. But if you had to put money on it, you'd have to put it on this guy becoming the next mayor. What does this say about New York and our country?
Well, a lot. And I'm going to push the envelope a little bit, Megan. So you have to give me, and you can push back at any time. So I think it's very
you're in trouble. I saw you're in trouble with Jessica Tarlov of Fox News on the internet.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say it here on air because I don't hide from my opinions. But yes, and you can push back and disagree, and I'll give all the proper caveats, which of course I believe in. But yes, the socialism part is very important. I mean, he has like some of the dumbest ideas imaginable, which we're going to have city-run grocery stores. Yeah, that works really well in Cuba. Bring back bread lines, right? Mamdani 2025. And obviously he wants to tax the rich. He wants to take more money away from people. All that's super bad. He wants to defund the police. He's on the record saying defund the police. He wants to send social workers instead of cops. But like, we need to also understand.
Yeah, heavens forbid social workers instead of cops. Someone who wouldn't piss their pants when they're told they can't march with a gun. Yeah, I'll take them. They can't march in a pride parade without a gun, and they're not going to fall down kicking and screaming until a wet spot appears between their legs. Yeah, I'd rather take them than someone who would do that.
And we have to be very delicate how we talk about this, and I'll give all the proper caveats. Right, not every Muslim is bad.
A lot of Muslims proper are really caveats. The proper caveats, love it. I love these proper caveats from Charlie Kirk. Not every Muslim is bad, just most of them are.
Good people.
Wait, there are some good people? Is that what he said?
Not every Muslim is bad. A lot of Muslims are really decent and good people.
A lot, like 50 Muslims are good people. Like, guys, there's at least 25 Muslims that are good people.
My primary care doctor is actually Muslim. I've endorsed someone running for office as a Muslim, Zuhdi Jasser here in Arizona. So we all know individually good Muslims. But we also must kind of take pause and say, wait a second. The two financial power centers of the West are obviously London and New York. And are we really going to have two Muslim mayors of the major financial power centers of the West? Like, let's just take a pause.
Bro, why give the caveats in? He's like, I know some Muslims. I'm friends with a Muslim. But are we really going to have Muslims ruling the two biggest cities of England and the United States? Are we really going to do that? He's like, I like Muslims, but I am racist against them. Okay? So like, I have a Muslim friend, but I really don't like Muslims. Oh, that's not a caveat, Charlie. It's not a caveat at all. You're just like, there are some Muslims that are good, but I am racist against Muslims.
Pause and take a step back. You're like, what does that say and what does that mean? And people say, well, it's irrelevant that he's Muslim. Well, you said it best. He wants to globalize the intifada. And by the way, that just means global.
Okay. So if he wants to like, once again, dude, if you're scared about what he said, then it is irrelevant that he's Muslim. You brought up him being Muslim first, and now you're trying to justify your racism by backtracking there and post hoc rationalizing your conclusion that you've already arrived at. Oh, yeah, like, he is Muslim though, so I don't like him. Why don't I like him? Well, Muslim, I mean, he said he wants to kill Jews. I think he said that.
Terrorism. He is the first mayoral candidate of any significance to say that he supports sanctions of Israel. I want you to understand that.
Yeah, Joe Biden supported sanctions of Israel, dumbass. Donald Trump tariffed Israel.
That is America's most Jewish.
Bernie Sanders supported sanctions of Israel, well, at least not sending weapons to Israel.
Jewish city, New York, and he wants to sanction Israel. And we're not allowed to mention that he's also Muslim. Like, I'm sorry, like, that actually matters.
You're racist,
a lot.
Dude.
And he should be put on the record and ask questions about not just his faith, but also, do you think that it's good that we're continually importing hundreds of thousands of people that don't import our values? And you look at Ilhan Omar. Is Ilhan Omar a good example of someone that has pride and patriotism and gratitude for our country? It's not a good track record so far. And from Mamdani, you're seeing someone that has resentment-driven politics, super bad economics, terrible economics. But dare I also say, a radical cultural orthodoxy that is going to be introduced into America's largest city.
He's Muslim. That's what Charlie's trying to say. Let me reduce that down for all of you. Let's boil out all of the fat and the extra water in there. He's a Muslim. Should we really have him being the mayor of New York? That's what Charlie's trying to say. Oh, he's shafting in a new cultural orthodoxy that he's hiding under a veneer of just being pro-working class, but actually he's really a radical guy. Yeah, we know what you mean, Charlie. Let me make that a little bit clearer for you.
One that will not make it a safe place for Jews, not a safe place increasingly, I think, for Western.
What did he call Ilhan Omar? Elon Omar. I mean, what do you mean? Is she patriotic? She's literally a politician. She's following the American dream. Unlike you, where you're just like bitching in your basement after dropping out from school and suckling at the teat of a billionaire. Are you patriotic? Because you seem to have a lot of issues with America, Charlie.
Values and potentially Christians, and to say that you are in favor of boycotting, divesting, and sanctioning is.
Bro, Charlie really goes Titan mode when he like lifts up the side of his mouth and you can see his gums. What a fucking freak! He looks like one. Oh man, wait a second. Hold on. He looks like one of these characters. Oh wait, no, not the Smiling Friends. Although Smiling Friends is a pretty good show. I'm sure he looks like one of those characters too. I feel like he looks like one of these characters. He's got the big mouth. He's got like the weird like gums. He's got like the opening in the gums there on the side of his mouth. Maybe one of these guys. I think maybe it's just like the rabbit. Just like the fucking giant face. The giant head where the face doesn't fill it up and like the weird ass creepy smile that he has. Man, I don't know who's weirder. Like Tucker Carlson or Charlie Kirk? Who's a bigger freak?
Israel and America's most Jewish city, and it's just a coincidence that that guy happens to be Muslim. Yeah, I think that's complete rubbish. And final point I'll say is this, is that London is a captured city. I don't know if you've been there recently, Megan, but it is a husk of its former self. It is terrible. And I don't like the fact that I go to Piccadilly Square and I see more Arabic than I see English, that I see more stores that are Yemen, Omani, Saudi Arabian. That is a conquered and a captured country. And Mamdani has to run on his own merits. He's his own individual person. But he has not given any indication that he is anything but a radical socialist and someone that is trying to...
Bro, it sounds like he has the rubber bands in his mouth. Radical socialist. Like, he sounds like a middle schooler who has too much saliva in his mouth. The guy's just failing at every level to convince me that he's a normal human being.
Continue the Mohammedan march in the West. Individual Muslims can be great members of American society. We all know them.
Yeah, but they can't be politicians. That's what you're saying.
But in the macro, in the big picture, are we really benefiting the more that we are importing Islamists into the West? I say no, and I think we should have a lot of caution making a Muslim socialist the mayor of America's largest city. And I know I'm in trouble for saying that, but...
You're racist. What do you mean I know I'm in trouble for saying it? You're just being racist. You haven't... Like, come on, dude. If you have an actual argument against him, you don't have to bring up that he's Muslim. That's just... Like, there's no bearing. Like, his ethnicity and even his religion has no bearing on his policies or what he's prescribing that he's going to do when he's mayor. Those are completely separate, right? And even if they weren't separate, you can still say, well, I'm against him because of his policies, rather than being like, Muslim, like when he's a he's a 5-year-old kid at the grocery store with his mom, and he sees a guy that doesn't look like him or his family, and he's like, Mom, who's that? And he points while like letting his lollipop drop onto the floor, a dumbass. Like, he's just as embarrassing as that. Like when you like a little kid seeing a man with long hair, and they're like, is that a man or a woman? And they're like, oh my God, why would you embarrass me like that? That's what Charlie Kirk is right now. But let's see if Megyn Kelly has any shame.
I'll double down on it because I think that there comes with a lot of baggage and a lot of trouble.
The response to not your argument, but your feelings have been espoused by others, including Benny Johnson, who said he tweeted, New York City in 2001 will never forget after the World Trade Center. New York City in 2025 elects Muslim jihadist. That's not what you called him. You did not call him this guy a jihadist.
No, I did not, for the record, I never said that.
You did not say that.
And I like Benny a lot, but I did not say that.
Yeah, but here's how Ryan James...
So brave of you to not call him a jihadist.
Skrdowski responded to Benny. He says, it's a low IQ hot take. He says, Mamdani's not a jihadist. Sure, he hates Jews and supports a global movement to kill them because he's okay with the Globalize, the intifada.
Oh my God, dude. The forced laugh is so embarrassing from this skeleton of a woman.
Not a chance. But he's also about queer liberation and women's rights. this is true. He's just an identity-based socialist where your value...
What do you mean this is true? Wait. So he's a Muslim fundamentalist jihadist, but he supports queer liberation and women's rights. Okay, square that circle for me. And I love how on this show both of those things are bad, right? Like being a person who advocates for the death of all Jewish people around the world, which is what they're claiming Mamdani is just as bad as advocating for the rights of queer people and women. Oh yeah, yeah, they're both horrible.
Is connected to your race. I mean, that's the thing. Like the true radical jihadis are not out there at pride parades and wanting to make a major part of their platform pride rights and free trans surgeries for minors, which is part of Mamdani's promise.
That's a good point.
Right. So
I agree.
He's an odd jihadi if he's a jihadi, according to Benny Johnson.
I like Benny a lot. I would not, and I won't say anything negative about him. I wouldn't use the word jihadi. But I will say though, he has hatred for the West, and that we can all agree upon. Where does that hatred?
Yeah, but according to Charlie Kirk, the West includes trans people, right? He literally just said in his podcast that, oh, well, we don't do genital mutilation except for trans people. Oh, you're including trans people as part of we. Wow. Okay, then now Zohran Mamdani is saying that he supports trans rights. So he hates the West? Or he just hates your white supremacist racism that you represent? Is that what you're talking about?
Come from?
Yeah.
Does it come from his radical professor father? Does it come from the Shia Islam that he believes in?
But wait, let me just ask you about this. I accept that, but does he hate it any more than the white Upper West Side women who surrounded me when I lived there?
No, that's
they
voting
feel exactly
for him.
As he does.
Totally. No, I agree. And I think though that he now represents, should we import more people like him? That obviously have, I mean, again, he was, I think, born here. I don't know, or did he?
He was born in.
I don't know.
He was born in. Where was he born?
Kenya or something.
We just went over this. No, Uganda.
Ghana. Uganda. Yeah. And so, has this guy been a great picture of American
Hey, fartist. Well, sorry you've been going through it. That sucks hearing about your mom. Thanks for sharing in chat though. Hopefully you can get a little bit of enjoyment making fun of these two insanely racist white supremacists.
Assimilation? No. And that is the tragic truth of far too much Muslim immigration to the West. You see it in Rotterdam, you see it in Paris, you see it in London, you see it across Germany, is that the Islamist world does not assimilate well to the Western world. In fact, they create their own pockets of no-go zones. They try to take over City Hall, as you could see evidence in London and Rotterdam. They try to create own areas of their kind of Sharia-type law and radical Islam. I don't know if that's what Mamdani will do, but I know this. It doesn't matter because he is a perfect personification of what we call the red-green axis. The red-green axis is Marxism and Mohammedism that come together to destroy the West. And
I like how his evidence that Islam or that people from Muslim countries don't assimilate well with Western countries is that a lot of people have moved to Western countries that are Muslim. Wouldn't that be the exact opposite of what you're advocating for? Why would people move to America if they're not doing well in America? They don't assimilate well? Well, yeah, they have a different culture. It's called cultural fusion. This is what America was built off of. And I mean, it's just so ridiculous. His evidence is that there's a lot of Muslim people. That's not evidence of them not doing well in this country or not assimilating well, that there's a lot of them. That actually be evidence that they are doing well in the countries that they're moving to.
He is an agreeable spot for that. There's a lot of Muslims in New York, and there's a lot of, also to your point, white upper East Side middle, higher income earners that have luxury beliefs that want to whatever reason see the suicide in New York City. What is shocking is that the richer
White people want to see the suicide of New York City by electing a brown person. Okay, we can probably shut it off there. I don't really care to hear any more of that bullshit from Charlie Kirk. That's just crazy. Like, if we want, we can listen to more of that, but I don't have that much more time, and there's some more stuff I wanted to cover. Hours. Christ, man, access. Okay. So this is so fucked up. I mean, guys, this bill is going to pass, and it's not good. But what's the support for this bill? Support for big, beautiful bill. Opposition from House GOP holdouts. This is 37 minutes ago, so probably worth checking. What's the popular support for it, though? Axios. All right, let's take a look at this 10 hours ago from Axios. The Big Beautiful Bill has a big image issue. Share of Americans who say they oppose the One Big Beautiful Bill. 55% from Kinnipack, 59% for Fox, 42%, 64%, 49%. Americans express deep skepticism about the legislation across a variety of recent polls. Republicans are aware polling on the signature tax and spending bill isn't pretty. But Senate Majority Leader John Thune predicts the numbers could jump after the final bill is passed. Jump in disfavor against it. Polling taken throughout June showed that Americans largely disapprove of the mega bill, but are more split on some of the specific provisions. Kinnipack polling conducted June 22nd to 24th and released on Thursday found that 55% of voters oppose the bill, while 29% support it. Another 20% did not offer an opinion. But on Medicaid work requirements included in the bill, the numbers reflect more of a divide. 47% support the measure, while 46% oppose it. Zoom out. Washington Ipsos from June 6th to 10th highlighted similar nuance. Although 42% oppose the bill, changing tax spending and Medicaid policies, while 23% support it, another 34% they said they had no opinion. Basically, there's like way more opposition than support for the bill. Okay, what is this? So opposition from House GOP holdouts threatens final passage of Big Beautiful Bill. House Republican leaders are scrambling to shore up support for President Trump's massive domestic policy bill amid pushback to the Senate's changes. So, I mean, there's some pushback in the positive direction from the GOP, from Republicans, where they're like, you're cutting too much stuff. Like, for Medicaid, I know there's a lot of pushback from rural areas about the cut to public broadcasting. Like, oh, there's going to be no coverage of, like, if PBS and NPR get defunded, there's going to be no coverage of rural areas anymore, because a lot of the time that public broadcasting is the only thing that's covering these rural areas, and that's getting cut, and there's been pushback for that. So there is a lot of pushback, but a lot of pushback against the bill is for more cuts. It's from people that are even more libertarian and are like, no, fuck this bill. This bill's shitty because it doesn't cut enough. That's like what Elon Musk is advocating against. As the House met Wednesday to take up the bill, which squeaked through the Senate a day earlier, it remained unclear if Republicans have enough support to get it over the finish line. The House needs to take a key procedural vote before it can move toward final passage, but it's not clear when that vote will take place or if it will pass. Lawmakers remain stuck on a separate vote for over an hour Wednesday afternoon. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise said lawmakers are planning to forge ahead with the procedural vote Wednesday afternoon, but they're waiting for some members to return to Washington following flight delays. Those members are expected to arrive shortly. Several members on both sides of the aisle had their flights canceled or delayed by bad weather as they raced back to Washington for the vote. Dude, these fucking, like, Congress people fucking suck. They're going home. You're passing this bill and you're not even in Congress. You're at your house. All Democrats appear to be on hand for proceedings by Wednesday afternoon. Republicans can only afford 3 defections if all members are present and voting. House GOP leaders are aiming to forge ahead quickly on their signature legislation. So it includes ramped up spending for border security, which is going to basically allow Donald Trump to just use ICE and the DHS to do whatever he wants. Defense and energy production, and extends trillions of dollars in tax cuts, partially offset by substantial cuts to healthcare and nutrition programs. So I think it was like something like $830 billion cut in healthcare. And of course, it's not a cut; it's a work requirement, which is the same thing as a cut. But some House Republicans who voted to pass an earlier version of the bill in May expressed criticism about the Senate's changes. Potential holdouts, including moderates and members of the conservative House Freedom Caucus, were meeting with Mr. Trump on Wednesday as the White House puts pressure on House Republicans to get the bill across the finish line. But GOP Representative Andy Harris of Maryland, the chairman of the conservative House Freedom Caucus, told reporters that he expected the procedural vote to fail in the afternoon. The House Rules Committee advanced the Senate's changes to the bill overnight, setting up the action on the floor. GOP Representative Ralph Norman of South Carolina and Chip Roy of Texas joined Democrats on the panel to oppose the rule. Both are among the group of hardliners who are likely to oppose a procedural vote in the full House. What the Senate did is unconscionable, Norman said. I'll vote against it here and I'll vote against it on the floor until we get it right. House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Louisiana Republican, has spent weeks pleading with his Senate counterparts not to make any major changes to the version of the bill that passed the lower chamber by a single vote in May. He said the Senate bill's changes went a little further than many of us would have preferred. The Senate-passed bill includes steeper Medicaid cuts, a higher increase in the debt limit, and changes to the House bill's green energy policies and the state and local tax deduction. Other controversial provisions that face pushback in both chambers, including the sale of public lands in nearly a dozen states, a 10-year moratorium on states regulating artificial intelligence. I think the Senate did get rid of this, and an excise tax on the renewable energy industry were stripped from the Senate bill before heading back to the House. Johnson said Wednesday that we are working through everybody's issues and making sure that we can secure this vote. Amid the opposition, he added that he and the president are working to convince everybody that this is the very best product that we can produce. I feel good about where we are and where we're headed, Johnson added. Harris told reporters Wednesday that the president should call the Senate back into town to come to an agreement on changes to the bill. The GOP leaders, however, said the House would vote on the Senate bill as is. Well, I mean, it doesn't seem like everyone's happy, but they can afford to lose 3 votes. I wouldn't be surprised if like 1 or 2 Republicans defect here, but I do think this is going to pass as is. So basically, Ralph Norman and Chip Roy, they joined Democrats on the panel to oppose the procedural vote. So they were mad at... So this is what they were mad at. They're like, I want to sell public lands in a dozen states. They're like, I want a 10-year moratorium on states regulating AI, and I want an excise tax on the renewable energy industry. Which I guess, like, as far as our current politics go, it's fine. It encourages the energy industry to flourish. So, should the House make changes to the bill, the revisions would require the Senate's approval or force the 2 chambers to go to conference committee to iron out a final product that the 2 bodies could agree on, jeopardizing the bill's timely passage. I mean, I don't know what the Democrats are really doing, but like, I just want them so badly to be encouraging this discord within the Republican Party, encourage these libertarian Republicans to be like, no, you're not cutting enough stuff. I want there to be a ban on AI regulation. I want to sell off public lands. Like, please encourage these 2 fucking idiots like Chip Harris or whatever the hell his name is, Chip Roy and Ralph Norman. Please be like, yeah, you need to have a moral stance against this egregious government overreach that allows for regulation of AI. Like, please just feed into their delusions, blow smoke up their ass so that they actually stand firm and can like just delay this bill. I mean, at this point, the Democrats need to do everything in their power to stop the Republicans from getting anything done. getting nothing done is better than allowing the Republicans to do stuff. And that's why people were so pissed at Chuck Schumer when he voted to fund the government and he voted for the continuing resolution bill instead of voting to actually shut the government down. But yeah, like, okay, what do we have here? So what's Chuck Schumer saying about this bill? Chuckles Schumer. Big, beautiful bill. What does he have to say on this? Oh, God. Oh, my God, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? Schumer forces name change before it passes? Senate Republicans slowing things down. Okay, well, hopefully they are slowing things down. Okay, what do we got? Fox News, let's start off with them. Schumer forces name change for big, beautiful bill moments before it passes. How does he force a name change of it? He forced a name change for President Donald Trump's bill moments before the legislative package passed the upper chamber of Congress.
A point of order against page 1, lines 3 to 5 of the pending amendment, which violates section 313B1A of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974.
The point of order is sustained. The text will be stricken.
No way. No way. He put that out himself? What the what is this? What is this? I can't, I'm flabbergasted. So he forced a name change while Senator Pete Ricketts was chairing the Senate. Schumer raised a point of order against lines 3 to 5 on the first page of the legislative proposal that said, short title, this act may be cited as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Schumer argued the title of the bill violated Section 313B1A of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974, or what's commonly referred to as the Byrd Rule. Oh, leave it. Guys, you thought that the Democrats were doing nothing. You thought that the Democrats were useless, but what you failed to understand is that Chuck Schumer should never be underestimated. It's like in The Princess Bride when Wesley's getting pushed back, but then he reveals that he's only using his left hand and he's actually right-handed. That's Chuck Schumer. You thought he was at the end of his rope, but he was just waiting to unveil his secret weapon of forcing a name change of the bill. Oh my God. Thank you, Chuck Schumer. You are truly the savior of this country. Ricketts said the point of order was sustained, meaning that the text will be stricken from the bill. What is this? This is not a big, beautiful bill at all. Dude, I can't. This is a joke. The Democrats are a fucking joke. This is not a big, beautiful bill at all. That's why I moved down the floor to strike the title. It is now called the Act. No. That's what it's called, but it is really the big, ugly betrayal. And the American people know it, Schumer told reporters. This vote will haunt our Republican colleagues for years to come. Because of this bill, tens of millions will lose health insurance. Bro, I'm crying because he's right. This bill is going to destroy this country. And this fucking moron is like, I'm gonna change the name at the last second. I'm gonna make it called the Act. That will show the Republicans. This vote will haunt our Republican colleagues for years to come. Because of this bill, tens of millions will lose health insurance. Millions of jobs will disappear. People will get sick and die. Kids will go... Sorry, I'm doing a little bit of Trump. Kids will go hungry and the debt will explode to levels we have never seen. This bill is so irredeemable that one Republican literally chose to retire rather than vote yes and decimate his own state. Oh, wow. Great job. Asked whether he hoped to irritate Trump by changing the name of the bill, Schumer responded, I don't even think of President Trump. I thought of the truth. Bro, you can't make this shit up. Literally, they're passing a bill that's destroying the country, and he's proud of himself for changing the name of it. I thought of the truth. This is not a beautiful bill. Anyone who loses their health insurance doesn't think it's beautiful. Any worker. Bro, does he think this is standing up for the people that are going to die because of this bill? He really thinks he's standing up for them. At least they don't have to say that it's rain when they're pissing on me, thanks to Chuck Schumer. Thank you, Chuck Schumer. You really showed the Republicans that it's not a beautiful bill, that it's just the act now. Any mom who can't feed her kid on $5 a day doesn't think it's beautiful. We wanted the American people to know the truth. The Senate narrowly passed Trump's $3.3 million spending package by 50 to 51 vote on Tuesday after an all-night voting session. And Jebediah Vance was the tiebreaker. Vice President J.D. Vance was the tie-breaking vote. No Senate Democrats crossed the aisle to support the legislation. Thank God. Tillis and Republican Senators Rand Paul of Kentucky and Susan Collins of Maine. Tillis and Republican Senators Rand Paul of Kentucky, I guess he's a libertarian? Collins of Maine opposed the mega bill. Democrats condemned the bill's passage, including Schumer's fellow New Yorker Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She has not confirmed a primary run. J.D. Vance was the deciding vote to cut Medicaid across the country. The Progressive Squad member wrote on X, an absolute and utter betrayal of working families. Yeah, I mean, true. Anyway, pretty fucking funny article from Fox News. I mean, really, to shit on Schumer, you just have to quote him. Okay, so yeah, what's his plan? What's his plan with the big beautiful bill, right? Or the act? I guess I have to respect Chuck Schumer's efforts here. Schumer, Senate Republicans slowing things down on GOP mega bill because they're one big mess. Dude, are you fucking kidding me? You should be encouraging the bill to get slowed down. Slow it down to a crawl. Throw it in a fucking tar pit and let it turn into a skeleton over thousands of years. Why are you criticizing? Dude, this is just like when Chuck Schumer was like, oh, it's Taco Trump. It's Taco Trump. Because he always chickens out on things. Yeah, he backtracked on his take. He didn't bomb Iran. He always chickens out on things. Why are you encouraging Republicans to do bad things? You're like, ha ha, look at these idiot Republicans. They're a mess. They're so slow to pass it. Like, you want them to be quick in passing it? Why do you want them to be quick? Encourage it to be slow. Be like, oh yeah, no, I think the Republicans have some really valid concerns that I'm willing to help them work through. They're going to need to make changes in the House and then send it back to the Senate, and we're going to need to make some more changes. Like, encourage the discord. What the fuck is wrong with our politicians?
North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis is facing the wrath of
Holy
President
shit, this is
Trump
low as
for
hell.
his vocal opposition to this big, beautiful bill. Senator Tom Tillis is one of two Republican holdouts that we know of on this bill and has voiced concerns over the Medicaid
guys are gonna have to just
changes
turn it up.
in the legislation. Now, that elicited some angry True Social posts from President Trump, who said that Senator Tillis was grandstanding and said that he was making a big mistake by not supporting the bill. Then the president threatened to primary Senator Tillis. But Senator Tillis, just hours after that post, publicly announced he doesn't plan to run for re-election in his state of North Carolina in 2026 when his seat comes up again. And I caught up with the senator about all of this controversy. Here's what he told me.
Who cares? Who cares what this guy has to say? What does Chuck Schumer have to say? State Minority Leader Chuck Schumer late Monday said Republicans were slowing things down in the upper chamber as they worked to garner enough votes to pass the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. They're slowing things down because right now they're one big mess. This was in the Senate. After Senate passage, the House will need to vote again on the legislation. I'd say a majority of the senators, Republican senators, believe that this bill is very bad for their states, but they don't have the guts to buck Trump. They're afraid of Trump, Schumer said Monday. They're in an uncomfortable position. Dude. The Republican politicians are in an uncomfortable position because they're going to fuck the lives over They're going to fuck the lives over of every American. And they're in the uncomfortable position. They're fighting with each other. Like, I just don't think he understands. Like, he says he understands the gravity, right? Oh, millions will die. Millions will lose healthcare coverage. Military spending is going to increase. Trump's spending on his fascist projects like border control and the DHS, that's going to increase. We're going to slash funding for healthcare, for independent media. All of that's going to get destroyed, and it's going to be almost impossible to rebuild. But the Republican senators that passed it anyway are in an uncomfortable position, I guess. So Chuck Schumer did his job. They're uncomfortable. They're fighting with each other, and they're slowing everything down because they don't have a bill yet, he continued, adding. At this late hour, they still don't have a bill. And then they did. Wow, they passed. They're fucking us over, but at least they're uncomfortable in doing so. All right, so what is this? The One Big Beautiful Bill Act is no more. In terms of its official nomenclature anyway, Senate Majority Leader Chuckles Schumer invoked Senate budget rules to delete the title of the bill on the floor Tuesday morning. It has become a tradition for trifecta bills passed under the special Senate rules that sidestep the filibuster. Republicans did it to Democrats' Inflation Reduction Act in 2022, and Democrats did it to the GOP's Tax Cut and Jobs Act in 2017. Neither maneuver stopped lawmakers of either party from using those names to this day to... Oh my God. Are you fucking... Bro. Even this article is like, this is completely useless because neither maneuver stopped lawmakers of either party from using those names to this day to refer to the sprawling party bills. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you for an absolutely meaningless opposition to this bill. What do we got here? Is he going to encourage the House to not pass it by nurturing disagreements between Republicans? Please tell me that he's actually advocating for some kind of strategy here.
Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, today, Senate Republicans betrayed the American people and covered this chamber in shame. In one fell swoop, Republicans passed the biggest tax breaks for billionaires ever seen, paid for by ripping health care away from millions of Americans, taking food out of the mouth of hungry kids. This is not a big, beautiful bill at all. That is why I moved on the floor to strike the title. It is now called The Act, but it is really a big, ugly betrayal.
Dude, no.
Because of this bill, tens of millions will lose health insurance. Millions of jobs will disappear. People will get sick and die. Kids will go hungry. And the debt will explode to levels we have never seen. All so that billionaires and corporate special interests get a permanent tax break. This is not what the country needs. This is not what the American people want. And I must say this, Republicans bent and twisted and pushed the rules and the norms of the Senate to get this bill done, and they have done grave damage to this.
Maybe you should learn something from that. Learn how Republicans actually get shit done. So the next time the Democrats, I hope he's not in power, the next time the Democrats have control of the House and the presidency, they can actually get stuff done too.
Chamber when they did it. All just so they can pass tax breaks for billionaires.
Remember, this man could have shut down the government to, at least put some ice on Doge when it was at its peak in breaking into every aspect of the federal government's information storage that they have. He could have shut down the government, but instead he voted to allow the government to stay open.
Yes. Today's vote will haunt our Republican colleagues for years to come. As the American people see the damage that is done,
I just feel like Chuck Schumer is gonna haunt the Republicans and be like, "We will fight." And once he dies, he's just a ghost appearing over Mike Johnson's shoulder. "We will fight. We will win."
Close as people are laid off, as costs go up, as the debt increases, they will see what our colleagues have done, and they will remember it.
No,
and
they
we Democrats
won't.
will make sure they remember it.
Donald Trump lost 800,000 manufacturing jobs when he's president, and then he won running on the same exact shit that he failed to do in his first term. You have to message properly. You can't just be like, and the Americans will remember it. What do we got here? What do we got? All of Congress must be limited terms. Chuck should be held accountable for his lies and face some real jail time. I love that Schumer hates it. It means it's got to be really super good. Chuck, you are full of BS. So you just have like conservatives that are like, fuck Chuck Schumer. I love how reading these comments and they're like, Chuck Schumer sucks. I don't even know if they're Republican or Democrat until you get to, wow, this bill is probably going to be good, which is pretty fucking funny. Okay, so anyway, that was Chuck Schumer, Chucky S, and where were we? We're looking at the big beautiful bill. So let's read this article. What's in the big bill that just passed the Senate? Republicans are getting closer to the finish line and they're getting their tax and spending cut bill through Congress with a final House vote Wednesday on possibly at some 887 pages. The legislation is a sprawling collection of tax breaks, spending cuts, and other Republican priorities, including new money for national defense and deportations. President Donald Trump has admonished Republicans who hold majority power in the House and Senate to skip their holiday vacations and deliver the bill by the 4th of July. Democrats are united against the legislation, but are powerless to stop the bill if Republicans are united. The Senate passed the bill with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote. The House passed an earlier iteration of the bill in May with just one vote to spare. Now it will take up the Senate amended measure. Tax cuts are the priority. And I mean, come on, like, it's such tight margins, and the Republicans are split on things. Can you do some politics? Can you encourage these splits? Can you water these cracks in the foundation of the Republicans to even just delay the bill by a week? A month would be great. Just to fucking delay it. At the very least, man. So what's in this shit? The legislation contains about $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. Holy shit, 4.5 trillion in tax cuts. The existing tax rates and brackets would become permanent under the bill. It temporarily would add new tax breaks that Trump campaigned on. No taxes on tips, overtime pay, the ability to deduct interest payments for some automotive loans, along with a $6,000 deduction for older adults who earn no more than $75,000 a year. Okay. It would boost the $2,000 child tax credit to $2,200. Millions of families at lower income levels would not get the full credit. That's good. So we're going to increase the child tax credit, but not give it to the people that need it. A cap on state and social deductions called SALT would quadruple to $40,000 for 5 years. It's a provision important to New York and other high-tax states, though the House wanted it to last for 10 years. So it would quadruple to $40,000 for 5 years, and then what? It would take 5 years to quadruple to $40,000, or they're quadrupling it and it would only last for 5 years before they have to renew the tax break. There are scores of business-related tax cuts, including allowing businesses to immediately write off 100% of the cost of equipment and research. The wealthiest households would see a $12,000 increase from the legislation, which would cost the poorest people $1,600 a year. Middle-income taxpayers would see a tax break of $500 to $1,500, the CBO said. So this is a Congressional Budget Office analysis. Says that the wealthiest households would see a $12,000 increase from the legislation, which would cost the poorest people $1,600 a year. I mean, love seeing that redistribution of wealth from the poor to the wealthy. So yeah, we got $4.5 trillion in tax cuts for this legislation. Money for deportations, a border wall, and the Golden Dome. The bill would provide some $350 billion for Trump's border and national security agenda, including $46 billion for the U.S.-Mexico border wall and... God. What happened to Mexico paying for it? And $45 billion for 100,000 migrant detention facility beds, as he claims to fulfill his promise of the largest mass deportation operation in U.S. history. Well, you love to see it, folks. I mean, we had the... what is it? That alligator concentration camp, is that what they're calling it? Where we're going to be housing detained immigrants in the fucking Florida Everglades. And here's the price tag associated with that: $45 billion for 100,000 migrant detention facility beds. Just absolutely wasting this country. Money would go for hiring 10,000 new immigration and customs enforcement officers with $10,000 signing bonuses and a surge of border patrol officers as well. All right, well, he's beefing up his Gestapo at least. Love to see that too. The goal is to deport some 1 million people per year. All right, okay. Yeah, this country's fucked up, man. The Homeland Security Secretary would have a new $10 billion fund for grants for states that help with federal immigration enforcement and deportation actions. If you don't cooperate with the Gestapo, you're not getting the same amount of federal funding that you were used to, so you better operate with Trump's Gestapo here. To help pay for it, immigrants would face various new fees, including when seeking asylum. Dude, literally, like, it is just wealth redistribution from the poorest in our society to the richest in our society to help pay for your detention, to help pay for the bed that you're going to be sent in the concentration camp when you get ripped apart from your family. You're going to have to pay additional fees when you're showing up to your asylum hearing. Just insane, man. Oh yeah, you got to pay now additional fees so that we can deport you to apply for asylum. For the Pentagon, the bill would provide billions for shipbuilding, munition systems, and quality of life measures for servicemen and women, as well as $25 billion for the development of the Golden Dome missile defense system. The Defense Department would have $1 billion for border security. Yeah. Or what happened to cutting the Pentagon? We're just giving $25 billion for a defense system, missile defense. Who's firing missiles at us? The Defense Department gets $1 billion for border security, and then billions for shipbuilding, munition systems, and quality of life measures. Are you we're gonna like send out our slave migrants to give them foot rubs now? Like what's that billion going for? What quality of life measures? How to pay for it? Cuts to Medicaid and other programs. To help partly offset the lost tax revenue and new spending, Republicans aim to cut back on Medicaid and food assistance for the poor. It's just so evil. It's so evil. It's like, oh, we're going to stop feeding our poor so that we can give tax cuts to billionaires. It's just, it's like a fucking it's a One Piece villain arc where it's like Alabasta or what's the island where Doflamingo was on? Doflamingo Island. Oh, Dressrosa, that's what it is. Doflamingo, it's like Alabasta or Dressrosa or the fucking Drum Island with Chopper, where you have a despotic ruler literally stealing food out of the mouths of the poorest people in order to help his rich cronies. I mean, it's just comic book villain-esque. Like, look at this. I mean, I wish that our president was this dripped out, though. Like, honestly, if he was this villainous, but he's just boring. He's just a fat old man. Just a fat old evil man with no fashion sense whatsoever. Just boring, and it's the banality of evil. oh yeah, no, we're just going to fucking like steal food literally out of the poorest people's mouths and to pay for our tax cuts to the rich. We're going to charge immigrants to deport them when they show up to their asylum hearings. Like, Donald Trump saw that how much money coyotes were making smuggling people into the country, and he's like, how can I get in on that? How can I make profit off of desperate people trying to seek a better life in this country? Quality of life improvement says to me that he thinks he might deploy the guard again. They slept on the floor in California, remember? Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I mean, Donald Trump definitely knows that he has to keep like the military wing of the government loyal to him, and this is part of it, right? The quality of life improvements that he's doing. All right, where were we? Yeah, what article were we on? CNN. This, not Breitbart. Oh, I think. Shit, fuck! I have so many tabs open. Oh yeah, this one. Okay, let's keep going. So they're going to cut healthcare and food assistance. I mean, we are living in a one-piece despotic island before the Straw Hats show up. Republicans argue that they are trying to right-size the safety net programs for the population they were initially designed to serve, mainly pregnant women, the disabled, and children, and root out what they describe as waste, fraud, and abuse. Yeah, and obviously they don't care about that at all. The package includes new 80-hour-a-month work requirements for many adults receiving Medicaid and food stamps, including older people up to age 65. Parents of children 14 and older would have to meet the program's work requirements. So, yeah, it's like, oh, well, there's so many young men just sitting in their basement, not working, and they're getting all of those Medicaid benefits. Funny. There's also a proposed new $35 copayment that can be charged to patients using Medicaid services. Love that. I just love making the life of the poorest people in this country that much worse. $35 worse. More than 71 million people rely on Medicaid, which expanded under Obama's Affordable Care Act, and 40 million uses Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Most already work, according to analysts. And just once again, by simply adding these work requirements, you are increasing the cost of running this. You are increasing the hassle for the people that are utilizing these programs, and you're increasing the cost and the hassle of the people that are facilitating these programs. You're just adding another hurdle for everyone to get through for nothing, for literally just to cause suffering and to try to squeeze a little bit more money out of the working poor. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that 11.8 million more Americans would become uninsured by 2034 if the bill became law. Wow, great. 11.8 million more people are going to be uninsured in less than 10 years, in 9 years. And 3 million more would not qualify for food stamps, also known as SNAP benefits. Well, 3 million people, I'm sure it will be fine if we just stop feeding 3 million people that rely on food to survive. I'm sure it's going to be completely fine, though. Republicans are looking to have states pick up some of the costs for SNAP benefits. Currently, the federal government funds all benefit costs. Under the bill, states beginning in 2028 will be required to contribute a set percentage of those costs if their payment error rate exceeds 6%. Payment errors include both underpayments and overpayments. But the Senate bill temporarily delays the start date of that cost sharing for states with the highest SNAP error rates. Alaska has the highest error rate in the nation at nearly 25%, according to Department of Agriculture data. Senator Lisa Murkowski had fought for the exception. She was a decisive vote in getting the bill through the Senate. So she's like, I don't appreciate that states are going to have to pay for their SNAP funding, because my state has a very high error rate at paying for SNAP. So I don't like that provision you added where if states have a high error rate, they're going to have to pay for that. And they're like, okay, well, we'll leave it for your state, but for every other state, we're going to have it be that way. She's like, okay, that's fine. Like, just spineless charlatans that don't care at all about the harm they're doing to the country. They just care about their own paychecks. And she's like, now she can get reelected, right? Now she can go back to Alaska and be like, I got us an exception. I just fucked over the rest of the country. Vote for me. Like, literally, just evil people. A death sentence for clean energy. Republicans are proposing to dramatically roll back tax breaks designed to boost clean energy products fueled by renewable sources such as energy and wind. The tax breaks were a central component of President Joe Biden's 2022 landmark bill focused on addressing climate change and lowering healthcare costs. I mean, this is absolutely insane. If you want to build, if you want industry, if you actually want to create jobs and create an industry that is going to put America back on the map as them being like one of the leaders of the world in an industry, you would encourage renewable energy projects so that you can have an area of manufacturing and investment and research for America to excel in. But instead, the Republicans are just turning their noses up at it because it's an easy way to get like a couple of $1,000 from oil industries giving them money. Democratic Oregon Senator Ron Wyden went so far as to call the GOP provisions a death sentence for America's wind and solar industries and an inevitable hike in utility bills. A tax break for people who buy new or used electric vehicles would expire on September 30th of this year instead of at the 2032 under current law. Meanwhile, a tax credit for the production of critical materials will be expanded to include metallurgical coal used in steelmaking. Trump savings accounts and so much more. A number of extra provisions reflect other GOP priorities. The House and Senate both have a new children's savings program called Trump Accounts with a potential $1,000 deposit from the Treasury. The Senate provides $40 million to establish Trump's long-sought National Garden of American Heroes, a new excise tax on university endowments, a $200 tax on gun silencers, and short-barreled rifles and shotguns was eliminated. I mean, this is so fucking stupid. They're literally eliminating $200 tax on gun silencers. The most unnecessary part of the gun had a $200 tax and they're eliminating it. It's just like they want everyone to suffer. One provision bars money to family planning providers, namely Planned Parenthood, while $88 million is earmarked for a pandemic response accountability committee, which Donald Trump got rid of when he took office. Another section expands the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, a hard-fought provision from GOP Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri for those impacted by nuclear development and testing. Billions would go to the Artemis moon mission and for the exploration of Mars. Oh my God, dude, we're literally putting billions of dollars towards exploring Mars when we're cutting food stamps from 3 million people. We're cutting healthcare from 12 million people, and we're putting billions of dollars towards exploring Mars. Dude, this country's gonna fucking kill me. This country's insane. This is a backwards country. This is an absolutely backwards country. Additionally, a provision would increase the nation's debt limit by $5 trillion. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna be covering this more, but goddamn, I need to take a break from this shit. Holy shit. Oh my God. Ugh, okay. All right, funny stuff. I need a break. I need a moment of levity, and I think this is so funny. So guys, Klein has been having a great vacation. I can't even knock her for it. She's been having a good vacation. She's posting people's artworks on her Instagram. She's posting her fans dressed in her clothes. If I had clothes, I would like seeing my fans dressed in them. Now, I wouldn't like seeing my fans dressed like this because it looks like shit. But if I have merch, if I ever do a drawing and I sell it, you guys can send me pictures of you wearing it. Like, look at this. Gila's having a great time. She's reposting all of her fans, posting like a stripper pole or something, or like a dance pole on it. Someone with a cool mirror. a big tree, cool stuff. An old guy with a standing in front of a hangar, a dog, a cute dog, a bedroom with butterflies, films, like has a film gradient on top of it. Oh, and then she posts herself. I mean, no shade, posting yourself on Instagram, posting yourself more on Instagram. So Gila's having good, she's in the pool, she's outside, whatever. She loves this bikini. Then you go to Ethan Klein's Instagram. Uh-oh. You go to Ethan Klein's, and it's this. Oh, the story's no longer available. Well, what's the next one? And he's attacking Taylor Lorenz. Like, what is happening in this relationship? Gila's just chilling out by the pool. She's like, Israel stopped getting bombed. We're still killing Palestinians. Life is good. Then you have Ethan, and he's like, Taylor Lorenz is a fucking bitch. She loves Hassan. She wants to fuck him so much, and I'd like to actually watch that. And I'm having weird feelings about Taylor Lorenz. Like, Ethan is just like gooning in his basement while his wife is just chilling outside by the pool. It's like the juxtaposition of these two is fucking hilarious. Is that really the extent? Okay. So let's just get into this. I don't know what the fuck is going on. ContraPoints is saying some stupid shit. Maybe I should go over the Twitter thread of it. Oh my god. Okay. Ethan says, "Is that really the extent of your logic? Ethan used this screenshot, so rethink your position. What a shallow, helpless, intellectual loser. Yours is the beautiful mind that conceived of Ethan criticized me, therefore he's misogynist. Nah, you're just an idiot." Bro, he's having like a middle school level crash out. Here's a video from 12 years ago that proves Ethan is a misogynist. You call yourself a journalist, but truthfully, you are nothing more than an internet mean girl. Bro, he's calling her an internet mean girl. All while defending the old enough to count, old enough to mount. Bro tips are a Hassan Piker. Okay, what do we got here?
And like cool and dresses cool.
Tell me about it.
But do you know what I mean? Like Hassan would be an influencer no matter what he was saying, because he is
hot,
very attractive and very cool and genuinely a good person too. I will say, like, Hassan is actually a cool, fun, good person.
So Taylor Lorenz said a factual statement where Hassan would be an influencer no matter what he said because he's an attractive person, and that's kind of like important if you want to be an influencer. And Ethan Klein says, Taylor would not be calling me out if I was hotter. I mean, Hassan Bro Tips Piker has said and done way worse things than me. What's with the double standard? Well, I mean, you are suing people for reacting to a YouTube video you made, which included clips of them, and you're actively supporting a genocide that's going on. So maybe that's why she doesn't like you. Also, you're a freaking gremlin that acts like an incel online. Taylor interacting with a dedicated snarker hate Twitter account, Ethan's Attic, is peak unawareness. Aren't you supposed to be anti-snark hero? An anti-snark hero? Girl, you can't even lie good. You can't even lie good. And write good, Ethan. Just reiterating that if a well-known Zionist was using my post to further his bad faith hate campaign against people who have been calling out the genocide in Gaza, I'd consider if I was effectively communicating my message, just sharing for posterity. Ethan's Attic says, Zionist Ethan Klein defending Zionist ContraPoints while simultaneously harassing Taylor Lorenz. And then she says, if a well-known Zionist was using my post to further a Zionist talking point, maybe I'm a Zionist. And then Ethan says, wow, you're interacting with someone who doesn't like me. Okay, Ethan, try more. Perfect commentary, perfect comment for you, Taylor, girl. Any response to this? This is a Reddit comment from Ethan's Reddit, and he says, Taylor, a bunch of weirdo harassers, doxers, and anti-Semites are sharing your posts right now. That Ethan's Attic guy literally just defended the dude, saying that Hitler might have had a point. The Ethan's Attic guy literally just defended the dude, saying that Hitler might have had a point.
This is bro tip. This week's bro tip is about bringing out the...
Oh, love this too. Once again, I don't really care about this. Like, if people are using Taylor Lorenz's tweets to be anti-Semitic, but criticizing Israel isn't anti-Semitic, once again. So I'd love to see the examples of that. So, hey, Taylor, I'll post something for posterity too. Can I get your thoughts on this compilation? Okay, so guys, remember, Hassan made this as a poorly thought out parody. Ethan Klein sincerely believes that Hassan held these positions, and he simultaneously shed these beliefs, but also was grifting to the left. He says that Hassan grifted to the left, and he actually still holds these, but also he got rid of them, right? Okay, so this is a compilation of Hassan being satirical, but Ethan truly believes that Hassan believes every single thing he's saying in here.
Male in you. A few things to consider when you're thinking about Lady Gaga as the top contender for Babe of the Week should be the fact that she might have a penis. The fact that Lady Gaga...
Also, a lot of people accuse Hassan of being a misogynist. They say that he's like, I don't know, too bro-y or whatever. I think it's interesting that Ethan only can find clips of Hassan being cringy towards women when it was Hassan making a satirical video of being cringy towards women. Like, yeah, that's the point, dude. Congratulations, you correctly identified satire. Like, does Taylor Lorenz actually respond to this? I don't know. Let's play more of it. Also, could Hassan sue Ethan for this? Is this Ethan's copyright? Is he being transformative by reposting this?
Might have a small penis does absolutely terrify me. Here's why the 5-second rule works. Because when you start thinking for longer than 5 seconds, you're immediately not thinking with your dick and also thinking with this pesky thing up here that we like to call our brains. So once you start thinking with your brain, you're immediately going to psych yourself out. Come back again next week when we discuss the legendary question of all time. Old enough to count, old enough to mount? Question mark? I want to say thank you to Miley Cyrus for showing off her camel toe at the VMAs the other night. I always knew Hannah Montana was a little slut. Don't even try to hide it. Look, this is a classic example of what happens when your father doesn't pay attention to you. You turn out to be a slut who's craving for attention, and then I tend to pick you up at a bar late night and bang you out on the first date.
Ethan's like, that should be me. Okay, I don't know who this person is. Random YouTuber. The fact that I need to explain to half the internet that I was kidding when I said I didn't know Shonda Black was black is honestly disturbing. And second of all, my dude, fire your barber. Unless you asked to look like Hillary Clinton. Oh my God, guys, did you realize that Ethan Klein is a comedian? Sometimes you forget, but he always is there to remind you that he is. Calling me a misogynist, calling me a racist. For the record, I did not even know that Sean was black. This is just a subtitle of your video. Okay. Taylor, I honestly thought this was Gila Klein for a second. What? Okay. So zany. So he posts a picture of Taylor Lorenz with a keyboard on her head and he says, so zany. Who is she? Copyright music. 3 kids, by the way. Bro, you actually act like a fucking weirdo. Why? Like, I don't know. Is it normal to repost pictures of your wife from her Instagram that she didn't even tag you in and be like, 3 kids? Look at how hot. Oh, fuck. Fucking copyrighted shit. Like, I don't know. It's kind of giving off like behavior of someone that you think you're in a relationship with but doesn't even know you exist. Like, Hila's posting this on her Instagram, and Ethan's like, wow, who is that? And she even had 3 kids.
And this is Bro Tip. This week's Bro Tip is...
He reposted the video. Oh my God. He reposted the compilation video with a new caption. Taylor the Rent. Bro, he literally... Oh my God. This fucking guy. He posts 2 pictures of his wife, and she's like,
Bro Tip. This week's
look at my wife. She's so hot. Look at my wife. And then he's, instead of going on and being like, we're having a great vacation, posting the pictures of his kids, him and his wife together, looking happy with each other, maybe the entire family, being like, 3 kids, by the way. Wow, we have such a great family, and we still look like this. 2 pictures of his wife that she didn't tag him in. She posted it to her Instagram. He didn't even fucking get the pictures directly from her. He just reposted her Instagram account. He's not the one taking pictures of Hila. After reposting 2 pictures from his wife's Instagram, because I'm sure, like, he hasn't talked to her since I'm sure he saw those pictures on her Instagram. He didn't see the pictures, and she's like, here, Ethan, look at these pictures I took. And he's like, wow, honey, those are great. Let me post those. He's like, all right, let me repost those. He's like in his basement on Instagram, furiously tweeting out stories or whatever the fuck it's called on Instagram. And then he sees Hila, and he's like, oh my God, she's hot. Let me post her. She looks good. Take that, Hassan. He posts them. And then he's like, and Hassan sucks. Let me repost trying to get at Taylor Lorenz. Taylor Lorenz, have you commented on this? You continually bring up a video I made from 12 years ago. Bro, he's actually pissed off. Oh, you talked about a video I made 12 years ago? But you actively defend this person. Can you explain the double standard? Yeah, you're being a creep in that, and Hassan is parroting the type of person that you were being in that video. That's kind of the double standard there. So anyway, this is what so while we're on the topic of that, with the video I made 12 years ago, this is pretty funny. So what the fuck is this? This is 334 upvotes, 20 comments. We can learn and grow, people. Let's go. This is, oh my God, this is 17 minutes long. How many views does this have? 3.93k subscribers. Guys, get my numbers up. Girl with a microphone. I'll fucking call myself. Male with a mic. 3 waiting. It's no one waits for my live streams. Feeling left out here. Okay, let's watch this because I guess Ethan's a changed man from when he was like 28 to now he's, wait, how old is he? He's 40? He's 40, so he's 28? He was just a young 28-year-old kid.
Let's see what this is. Oh my God. No effing way. Okay, let's just read this and then we'll fucking get into it. A video that has come up a lot on my social media feeds over the past few days is one from a little over 10 years ago, where Klein zooms in on a photo of an 18-year-old victim of the Boston Marathon bombing at the scene of the crime with the words, "You can scar me, but you can't stop me," written on her stomach in paint. When he scrolls down to focus on her crotch and says the outline of her vulva is visible through her clothing in some of the crudest language possible. Is that not a misogynist to you, Kat? Are you still not calling him a misogynist for doing that? Don't worry, I'm going to tell you exactly what the fuck that video was, even though you're not going to care. He then issues a string of sexually
explicit tell me what the video is.
Phrasing and the N-word. Okay, so it took me 2 seconds. And here's the video on H3 Snark. H3 Snark. Okay. Oh, here's another one. 5 months ago. Also H3 Snark talking about it. Here's what the video was really about. The video was, it was a stupid, terrible joke to start with. It was 12 years ago, and it was mocking the kinds of people who post disgusting stuff like that in a specific subreddit. I believe it's called Bravery Jerk. Okay, yeah, it's this creepy subreddit.
Bravery Jerk?
Where people post about fucked up things that they might masturbate to.
Is it? LeBron Paul, the first bravest of them all?
Okay.
Is that true? I need to look this up now. Reddit. Bravery jerk. So Ethan Klein was mocking a Reddit. Okay, let's go. Bravery. Oh, it's NSFW? Okay, then I'm not going in there. Alright, well, I guess I'll just take our word for it. So he was mocking a Reddit by sexualizing. So he was just pretending to be a Redditor, but he was, once again, like, actually sexualizing the
This was back
underage
when
girl there.
being an edgelord was really cool. But even then, Ethan was memeing on them. The video itself was made specifically to post on this subreddit. Because specifically of how fucked up something like that would be. It was not done.
Oh, dude, I'm calling cap on this. So there's a Reddit where people will sexualize weird things. And so Ethan sexualizes a real life person who was a victim of a terror attack. And he was going to post it to the Reddit to make fun of the Reddit. So he's going to do the exact thing that the Reddit's doing and then post it to the Reddit. But it's all a joke, actually. He's doing it ironically. He's not actually posting weird stuff that he's touching himself to the Reddit, although he's literally doing that exact thing. Yeah, she's talking about when he was touching himself to the victim of the Boston Marathon bombing. And she's saying that he was doing it to meme.
Out of like genuine arousal?
Oh, he wasn't genuinely aroused at her. He was just touching himself for the bit. You can clearly see there was no bulge. There was like no bulge at all. It was just a bit, guys. And if there was a bulge, it was probably like a carrot or something that he put in there for the bit. Just like how he burned fake money in his most recent video for the bit. But even if it wasn't fake money, it's only $1. Like why do you guys? It's obviously fake. But then again, it's also only $1. So, like, come on. He's being creepy. He was being creepy in the video. He thought it would be funny to be creepy. It wasn't funny. But that's the type of content that he put out there. There was no parody of like, once again, you're saying he's parodying a Reddit. He's doing a parody of a Reddit by pretending to like masturbate to an underage girl. Yeah, that's really gonna show this Reddit
Reddit
community.
Specifically to make fun of a rotted corner of Reddit. And yes, this time on Reddit was insane. Like the minor specific subs or the ones of unalived children, Bad Emma Panda would have liked that one. Exactly. So again, this is, I'm not going to say that this is another example of y'all not understanding what a joke is, because maybe some of you really don't know, but this was irony. That he made this video as irony. And yes, it was crazy dark irony, right?
That's not ironic. He literally is a Redditor. Apparently he's like involved enough in this Reddit to, I don't know, like understand the vibes of the Reddit. He's just participating in a Reddit. It's not irony. It's not ironic to pretend to be sexually aroused by an underage girl.
It's a video he would never in a million years make today. And a huge reason of that is because none of us would fucking let him as his fans.
Oh.
It was fucked up then. It's fucked up now. The internet was a fucking lawless wasteland back then.
Yeah, just like when Ethan was saying the N-word. I mean, that's just ironic too, right? So what do we have here? Another great video. Her description on the video. Okay. This video is obviously foul and it's good. He regrets making it, but the video exposes another double standard with these people. Hassan can't say if she's old enough to count, she's old enough to mount, and people will hand wave it. Ethan makes a gross video about an 18-year-old. It was not an 18-year-old. They call him a pedophile. I genuinely don't even see the video as being very problematic because the entire purpose is to mock the people who were actually acting like this on that subreddit and point out. Did he point out how gross they are? If it was just a general joke video, it would be a little more dicey, but the entire purpose of the video was, look at this freakish behavior. How are these people, like, okay, once again, Ethan Klein has made videos commenting on weird behavior before, right? The whole deal with the bald guy doing the pickup lines. He reacts to that and he mocks the person. In this video, he is that person. So you can say it's comedy that didn't hit, but I think Ethan was enjoying himself when he was making that video. And when we're talking about like the style of videos that Ethan Klein was making at the time, this doesn't actually, like, this is kind of a point against it because he mocks these people. He didn't like try to mock the bold guy by doing a skit with Gila where he was like coming on to her or something like that. I mean, it's just so fucked up. Another thing that I need to talk about with this fucking cursed subreddit. Oh yeah, this is hilarious too. I can't stand the cry bullying, so I made a comparison of the effects this has had on each party. Oh man. So H3, what should I read? I'll just read it one by one. Hassan and the Orbit. Any criticism of me or pro-Palestinian creators means you support genocide. Israelis are all settlers and deserve to die for their government. Hamas's resistance. Puff pieces in every publication. Mainstream coverage. TOS not applied. Right-wingers continue to shit on him, which now includes H3 libs. LOL. Exposed for going to a Diddy after party. Also LOL. Possibly balding. For Ethan. Hamas are terrorists and October 7th shouldn't be celebrated. Palestinians deserve better. There is a genocide. No, he hasn't said that. Civilians shouldn't pay for their government's actions. CPS called to take his kids away. 2 human skulls sent to his house. Teddy Fresh employees doxed. H3 crews and their families doxed. Dox Studio. Viral public death threats. Viral suicide wishes. Accusations of sexualizing underage girls. He literally did that. Accusations of abusing his children. Viral death wishes for his kids. Fake Ethan and Gila anti-Semitic accounts calling Gila Hitler and Ethan a mentally ill stalker. Taunting them with Holocaust inversion. Literally 2 Israeli Jews taunting them with Holocaust inversion? What are you talking about? Anti-Semitic narratives. He was born rich. He works with the ADL. He loves to sue people. Okay. Bro, he literally does love to sue people. What are you talking about? Like, sure, you can say that's an anti-Semitic trope, but Ethan does do that. There's more, but I'm out of room. Anyway, I just think this is so funny. It's like, Ethan Klein did nothing wrong and he gets all of the hate. Meanwhile, Hassan is just living the time of his life. So, love that. I mean, kind of left out the part where Hassan got detained and how, Islamophobia is exploding in this country right now. Okay, and then there was one post that I need to show you guys because this was crazy. I mean, you just have like actual like blood and soil arguments in this subreddit now. I'm sorry, but let's see. I'm sorry, but let's see if we can find it. I'm sorry about this. Was three days ago, 189 views. Okay, so this is from this Redditor, Radiant Jeweler 2650, and he says, I'm sorry, but the irony is wild. People scream free Palestine and accuse Israel of being colonizers, while completely ignoring that Judaism originated in the Middle East. The Jewish people are literally the indigenous people of that land. You want to talk about colonization? Let's talk about the massive Islamic conquests that swept across the Middle East in the 7th century, converting or displacing Jews, Christian, Zoroastrians, and other who were there first. But sure, tell me more about how Jews returning to their ancestral homeland are the problem and Israel needs to disappear. Islam is the newest of the 3 major Abrahamic religions, and yet somehow it gets to claim ownership of the entire region while calling the oldest one foreign? That's not justice. That's historical amnesia and actual colonizers dressed up as activists. Yelling, death to Jews, death to Israel, death to IDF is straight up support of terrorism. So, I mean, this is a fascist argument. This is an argument saying that race is real, religions are real. There was a religion that was there first, therefore they're more deserving. There was a race that was there first, therefore it's more deserving of ownership of the land. Therefore it is defended and shielded of any kind of criticism of negative actions that group of people did. This is race science. This is like 1600s style colonialism that is being justified in this subreddit with 189 upvotes, and it has not been deleted in 3 days. And then you have people endorsing this. Some of the weirdest cope has been the conspiracy theories that Jewish people are not the original Israelis, and their people of choice are the original tribes of Israel. And their people of choice are the original tribes of Israel. I saw people of choice because I've seen people, I say people of choice because I've seen people say it was the Palestinians or black people. Being like, these people don't deserve to live there. The original Israelis deserve to live there. I mean, this is like Nazi shit where they're saying that the Aryans deserved the land of Germany and they deserved like all of Europe. Like, this is absolutely disgusting that comments and posts like this on the H3 subreddit, which is just race science and a racial justification for colonization, is allowed to exist on this subreddit with 70 upvotes for this shit, 189 upvotes for this, and it hasn't been deleted in 3 days. Anyone got that Caroline Kwan clip loaded? The one where she says Christians and Palestinians lived in the pre-AD CE Levant, not Jews. That one rocks my world. So they're like, Palestinians haven't even been there that long. How can they complain about being genocided? Just because BC, it would have been a mix of Palestinians, Arabs, and Jews and Christians. There's a mix of people in this area, and that changed over time. The history of anti-Semitism is very interesting and goes so far back. It basically originates with them being the first monotheistic religion at a time when everyone was worshiping a bunch of gods. I mean, that's true. I made this argument years ago. Apparently, history stops at the Ottoman Empire. Just cavemen before that. Being like, oh, well, the Muslims did genocide earlier, so why are they complaining when they get genocided now? TBH, it has nothing to do with religion or race. Tankies will always side against the Western world. They are predictable. You can predict Hassan's position on any conflict. He'll always side with the terrorists against American or Western interests, right or wrong. So at least this person saying one thing that's true, it has nothing to do with religion or race. It is American imperialism. And then this person says, but in the Middle East, it has everything to do with religion, which is just false. Once again, reading about the Jewish expulsion of the Arab world, Jews lived side by side with Christians, Muslims for literally thousands of years. They lived side by side with them. And then when Israel got created and it was an ethno-state, then that created divisions between Jewish communities and their non-Jewish neighbors in the neighboring region. So then he says, you're right, it does. I'm just saying to these people on Twitter, it doesn't. They don't actually. So then this guy's like, oh, it has nothing to do with religion or race. The guy's like, but in the Middle East, it has everything to do with religion. And then this guy's like, oh yeah, you're right. It actually does have everything to do with religion. This is actually a religious war that we're seeing right now. They don't actually have morals. It's just about ideology and the lie to push it. All right, come on. Is there some virtue in being unpredictable? So I want to read more stupid shit. In my opinion, it's just kind of stupid to talk about things in simple terms of colonizer/colonized. It wasn't the Palestinians' fault that Jews were displaced, and they didn't deserve to be displaced themselves in the Nakba because they were colonized. I don't blame Jewish people for wanting a homeland following the Holocaust. But regardless, there is now another group of people without a homeland who are suffering and need a country. You're like, I don't blame them for wanting a homeland, but I'm not going to draw a series of events from saying that Jewish people Zionists colonized, and because it wasn't just Jewish people, it was also like basically white people, it was non-Jewish people, it was Christians, it was Americans and British. It was white people colonizing Israel. It was white people colonizing Palestine and created it to be Israel. Whether or not you think it's stupid, it's a discourse, and there's only one group painted as invaders of a land that isn't theirs, with a desire for them to no longer exist, when it is in fact their entire region. And it's so you just have like a full-on Zionist defending the idea that it needs to be a greater Israel. Israel needs to basically be an ethno-state from the river to the sea, including parts of Lebanon and Syria. And they're defending that. And once again, this shit hasn't been deleted from the sub. Literally being like, no, this entire region belongs to the Jews. Unfortunately, if you engage with these folks long enough, they'll start arguing Jews are not indigenous and start making debunked genetic conspiracies about Jews being causers. So yeah, they see the weakness in their position, and to patch the hole, they've cooped neo-Nazi 4chan conspiracies and blood and soil arguments, but of course they're not anti-Semitic. While this person is making a blood and soil argument, saying that Jews lived there thousands of years ago, and so they have a right to live there now, and the Palestinians should be ethnically cleansed from the region. The person saying that it's a neo-Nazi 4chan conspiracy blood and soil argument to argue against that position. Oh, the strangest is the ethno-state apartheid buzzwords that get tossed around. Like, bruh, Israel is the only country with any kind of functioning diversity in the region, and where women/homosexuals actually have rights. The West Bank settlements are evil, though. Dude, these people are so fucking stupid. Like, holy shit. I'm just not gonna read any more of this, but they're just like straight up doing race science and blood and soil arguments in this subreddit. And it has almost 200 upvotes after 3 days. It's crazy. It's really crazy to me. Like, this is one of the biggest podcasts in the world right now, or at least in America. And their host is encouraging a fucking blood and soil style argument to not only exist in their subreddit, but like to kind of take root and flourish in their subreddit. Being like, oh yeah, like the Jews, they deserve this. This land is theirs from the river to the sea. How is this comment not deleted for encouraging racism and like religious wars and genocide? How the fuck is this comment still up? I'm shocked. I thought it got deleted, but as someone who got a degree in history, I hate the historical claims to the land. Hitler did it, Putin did it, Benjamin does it. It's only an excuse for war and nothing more. It's just fallacy. Yeah, exactly. Like, at the end of the day, you can say Palestinians are indigenous. You can say European Jews are indigenous. It doesn't matter. Like, let's respect people. Let's respect a human as a human and give them equal rights. The issue doesn't come from someone moving to a new location and saying you're not indigenous. The issue comes from moving to a new location and then subjugating the population that's there. Or vice versa. Like, as we've been talking about with the Islamophobia in this country, it's also an issue when people move to a new location and then they get treated worse. They're a minority group that gets underserved. They have lesser rights. There's racism, bigotry against them. That's also an issue. And then, I mean, we might as well talk about this too, but like, when this fucking blood and soil bullshit is happening as just yesterday, like 70 more Palestinians were killed trying to get food, man. Just trying to get food. The time Israel actually says, like Israel said, oh, don't worry, like we're doing this food distribution service so that we're doing a food distribution service so that you can actually get food, and we know it's not Hamas. 74 killed in Gaza as Israeli forces strike a cafe and fire on people seeking food. They struck a cafe, fired on people seeking food. Was it a Hamas cafe? It was July 1st, so this was yesterday. Israeli forces killed at least 74 people in Gaza on Monday with airstrikes that left 30 dead at a seaside cafe and gunfire that left 23 dead as Palestinians tried to get desperately needed food aid, witnesses and health officials say. So they killed 30 people dead with airstrikes and then shot 23 as they tried to get their food. One airstrike hit Al Baka Cafe in Gaza City when it was crowded with women and children. Hamas women and children, though, so they had to go. Without warning, all of a sudden a warplane hit the place, shaking it like an earthquake. But they probably dropped flyers before. I guess the Palestinians just didn't read them. Dozens were wounded, many critically, alongside at least 30 people killed. I mean, guys, like, it's literally just a fucking IDF pilot seeing a crowded cafe, and they're like, I'm gonna kill some Palestinians, let me bomb them. Did it. Like, there's no other explanation than just being evil and bloodthirsty and seeing a target with a lot of people clumped up and beside it. Dozens were wounded alongside at least 30 people killed. 2 other strikes on a Gaza City street killed 15 people, according to Shifa Hospital, which received the casualties. A strike on a building killed 6 people near the town of Zawada, according to Al-Aqsa Hospital. The cafe, one of the few businesses to continue operating during the 20-month war, was a gathering spot for residents seeking internet access and a place to charge their phones. Yeah, just making life worse for Palestinians. That's all this is. Hey, thank you for the 5 gifted subs, meowts. Videos circulating on social media showed bloodied and disfigured bodies on the ground and the wounded being carried away in blankets. Meanwhile, Israeli forces killed 11 people who had been seeking food in southern Gaza, according to witnesses. Nasser Hospital in the southern city of Khan Yunis said it received the bodies of 30 people shot while returning from an aid site associated with the Israeli and US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Fund. It was part of a deadly pattern that has killed more than 500 Palestinians around the chaotic and controversial aid distribution program over the past month. So, I mean, not even counting the airstrikes that have been targeting people just like trying to have some kind of semblance of a normal life, not even counting those airstrikes, 500 Palestinians have just been killed trying to get food. It's not even the amount that were injured trying to get food. The shootings happened around 3 kilometers from the GHF site in Khan Yunis as Palestinians returned from the site along the only accessible route. Palestinians are often forced to travel long distances to access GHF hubs in hopes of obtaining aid. This is the cafe. This is the cafe that was destroyed in the Israeli airstrike. Holy fuck, dude. So, one of the last functioning cafes for people to hang out and get some internet. And the IDF bombed it. Nasser Hospital said an additional person was killed near a GHF hub in the southern city of Rafah. Another person was killed while waiting to receive aid near the Netzarim corridor. 10 other people were killed at a UN aid warehouse in northern Gaza. Witnesses describe Israeli gunfire. It said troops attacked the crowds returning from the GHF hub. They were targeted by the Israeli artillery. They were walking with dozens of others when he saw troops and tanks and other vehicles racing towards them. They fired warning shots before firing at the crowds. They fired at us indiscriminately, he said, adding that he was shot in a leg and a man was shot while attempting to rescue him. He said he saw troops detaining 6 people, including 3 children. We don't know whether they are still alive. The Israeli military said it was reviewing information about the attacks. Like, what do they do when they review the information? They just, like, watch videos of Palestinians dying and they, like, fuck each other in the ass to it? They just get so aroused by it? Is that what they mean when they say we're reviewing the information? Because they're not going to stop. Like, well, what do? They just revel in it? Is that what they mean when they say they're reviewing the information? The military has said it fires warning shots at people who move suspiciously or get too close to troops while collecting aid. Yeah, it was the Troops in tanks and other vehicles racing towards them. Oh, you're too close to the troops. You're not running away from our vehicles fast enough, so we're going to kill you. Oh my God. Israel has accused a militant Hamas group of stealing aid and using it to prop up its rule in the enclave. The UN denies there is systematic diversion of aid. Yeah. The strikes in and around Gaza City intensified. The military intensified its bombardment campaign across Gaza City and the nearby Jabalia refugee camp. On Sunday and Monday, Israel issued widespread evacuation orders for large swaths of northern Gaza. Palestinian reported massive bombing overnight into Monday morning, describing the fresh attacks as a scorched earth campaign that targeted mostly empty buildings and civilian infrastructure. I mean, what if Iran ordered the evacuation of Tel Aviv? And it's like, all right, just everyone out of Tel Aviv. We're gonna bomb Tel Aviv now. Like, what if they're just like, all right, like everyone out of New York, we're just gonna like bomb New York. Like, imagine if America and Israel was treated in the same way they treat every other country. It's disgusting. It's just absolutely disgusting the way that Israel and America treat their foreign adversaries. So, I mean, we're going to look a little bit more at that. But, I mean, while we're on the subject, this is Haaretz. It's a killing field. IDF soldiers ordered to shoot deliberately at unarmed Gazans waiting for humanitarian aid. IDF officers and soldiers told Haaretz they were ordered to fire at unarmed crowds near food distribution sites in Gaza, even when no threat was present. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed, prompting the military prosecution to call for a review into possible war crimes. Netanyahu Katz reject claims, call them blood libels. Well, what was that with Ethan Klein, where he's like, oh, no one in the Netanyahu government has said that it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. No one has said that in Israel. No one in the Netanyahu government has said it's anti-Semitic to call Israel a genocidal state. Netanyahu and Katz reject the claims from their own military and say that it's blood libels. Yeah, I'm not paying Haaretz money to read this article, but I mean, yeah, fucking hell, dude. We knew this is what's going on, and it's true, but I guess it's blood libel if you point it out. But yeah, one more thing. Destiny. Is this a clip? Destiny stunned by Kyle's idiocy?
This was a CIA Mossad op, and it's a fake humanitarian agency. And what they do is they lure Palestinians from all over Gaza to come to a specific area in Gaza and say, hey, we're promising you food, we're promising you medicine. Then they show up, and in many instances, the IDF opens fire and murders them.
Why? This is anti-Semitism, and this is retarded anti.
Destiny not beating the allegations that he gets all of his talking points straight from Netanyahu, right? Netanyahu and Katz call it a blood libel. Destiny hears this and he's like, it's anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism. Like, how stupid or would you have to be to believe this and then report it? You have planes. Like, you waste all that money bombing all these buildings, telling people to evacuate everything first, and you fuck up so much, right? Because they could have killed so many more people. You evacuate people from different halves of the country over and over and all this. You do all of that just to lure people to food stations and open fire in the places that are probably gonna have the most amount of people reporting, recording, and observing. Like, this is so stupid. What do you think you're even saying? It's so dumb.
I love how we just read an article where a plane killed 30 people at a cafe. And then like 24 people were killed trying to get food at these sites in one day. 74 people were killed. And Destiny's like, why would you shoot them at aid sites when you can just bomb them? It's like, don't worry, Destiny. They're doing both. Don't worry. I know you're trying to tell the IDF to stop doing war crimes or stop recording the war crimes. Don't stop doing it. Just stop recording them. There was that clip that was going viral of Destiny telling IDF soldiers to guys, you can do war crimes, just don't film it. And now you have this, where he's literally running the same propaganda line from Netanyahu, saying that it's anti-Semitic to say that the IDF is shooting Palestinians. Really? We're at almost 2 years of a genocide, and it's anti-Semitic to say the IDF is starving Palestinians and then shooting them when they show up for food. That's anti-Semitic. When there's a fucking report where the IDF officers said they were ordered to fire at unarmed crowds near the food distribution sites, and almost over 700 Palestinians have been killed trying to get food, and you're saying it's anti-Semitic to call that out for what it is? All right, okay, let's finish this up.
Like, come on, what? Why wouldn't they have just blown them all up at the beginning? No, that would be so obvious. Okay, so what's the plan instead? To set up
Destiny. They've killed about like 100,000 people with bombs, burying them under rubble and blowing them up. They did bomb them in the beginning, dude. Israel's in a lot of different wars.
Food stations over the Gaza Strip and then tell them to come for food. And then when they come, we're actually just going to fucking kill them there. Like, it's comically.
He has no argument against it because it's actually happening. So all he can do is feign outrage over it. Sad we cannot see the dislikes anymore. I bet it's massive. Yeah, let me give that a dislike. Same dude who advised IDF soldiers to not post their war crimes because it makes his job harder. Destiny is the type of person who never wants to admit when he's wrong. This is Destiny's YouTube channel too. Destiny's rebuttal is literally, they can do genocide way easier. So what they're doing now isn't genocide. This is something I've feared for a long time now because the IDF has been so extremely sadistic that saying the truth about an event sounds anti-Semitic. Their actions are so monstrous and the carnage has been so asymmetrical that it's hard for people to believe. I mean, that's a naive view of what Destiny's doing. Destiny's running propaganda defense for Israel, and he's probably getting paid to do so. So anyway, I love seeing Destiny get a fucking his asshole reamed by the people in his comment section. Look at this, 1,000 comments on here. Who would believe Destiny? Destiny was not giving IDF soldiers a pep talk and told them to not film their war crimes. Destiny wants an Israeli GF so bad. You may not agree with Kyle, totally fine, but can we stop with everything being anti-Semitism? So Destiny doesn't believe that a genocide is going on? Got it, thanks. No, he does. He's just in favor of it, and he does propaganda to defend it. You even blocked your own son on Twitter for calling you out as a deadbeat dad. Destiny has definitely lost the plot years ago at that. How is this video even still up? How wrong can one person be and still have this ridiculous of an audience? I'm not a Kalinsky fan, but Destiny isn't debunking the point. He's just saying he finds it incredulous. As a card-carrying member of the Julumni, Destiny is kept informed of all of the CIA Mossad operations. I hope Destiny will admit he is 100% wrong on this take, but what Kyle said is confirmed true. It's so funny because it's literally confirmed true. And Destiny gets just caught with his pants down, but he doesn't care. I mean, he's paid to do this kind of stuff. This is his propaganda. He knows it's a genocide and he supports it. Oh man. Okay. Well, what did we not get to? We didn't get to. There's a potential Hamas-Israeli ceasefire that I wanted to cover. And yeah, that's what I wanted to get to. But other than that, I think we did a pretty good job today. So anyway, guys, I'm going to call it. I'm fucking tired. Thanks everyone for showing up and watching along with me as I covered all this bullshit. But anyway, yeah, I'll probably be streaming later on, so I'll say have a good 4th of July later this week. But if I don't see you, have a great 4th of July. Have a better weekend than Ethan Klein is having, and I'll catch everyone on the other side. See ya.